A normal student's biggest nightmare is failing math or embarrassing themselves in front of their crush. It's the classic teenage dilemma we've seen countless times in blockbusters like Spider-Man, trying to balance school with the minor detail of saving the world in your spare time. And when it comes to mixing everyday school life with supernatural powers, one anime became an absolute phenomenon during our childhood: Cardcaptor Sakura. From the outside looking in, it might seem like just another cute magical girl show catching the monster of the week, aided by a lazy, food-obsessed plushie. But what a lot of people forget is that this series delivers so much more than just extravagant battle outfits. The writing dives deep into its characters. It features childish rivalries that genuinely mature, the emotional pressure of literally having to stop everyone from losing their most precious memories, and, of course, an incredibly well-developed romance. If I had to sum up the core of this show, it would be this: the strongest magic doesn't come from a staff, but from our own feelings. That's why today on the channel, Cardcaptor Sakura, far beyond just nostalgia, an anime with a massive heart. Sakura has a crazy dream on top of Tokyo Tower, surrounded by flying cards and a little winged creature. The alarm goes off, and reality hits. She runs downstairs for breakfast, only to be called a monster by her older brother, Toya. Their dynamic is the classic sibling rivalry. They love each other, but never miss a chance to bicker. On her way to school on her rollerblades, Sakura bumps into the reason for her size: Yukito, Toya's best friend. He is super sweet, smiles, and she completely melts, entirely oblivious to the fact that he has no idea about her feelings. At school, we meet Tomoyo, Sakura's best friend, who has a slight obsession with recording everything Sakura does with her brand new camera. Sakura's normal routine goes out the window when she gets home. She hears a noise in the basement and heads down armed with a cheerleader baton. Down there, she finds a glowing book called The Clow. Since curiosity always wins, she opens it, reads the name of the first card out loud, Windy, and accidentally summons a massive gust of wind that scatters the other 52 magical cards into the sky. The wind stops, and a yellow plushy-looking creature with a thick accent emerges from the book. He introduces himself as Kerberos, the guardian of the seal, but panics when he sees the cards are gone. To fix the mess he let happen while sleeping on the job, Kerberos officially names Sakura a card captor and hands her a sealing wand. There's no time to process this. A giant blue bird starts flying over the house. It's the fly card. Sakura goes outside in her pajamas and rollerblades, and with Kerberos' guidance, uses the windy card to bind the creature. She seals the bird, earns her second card, and the two take flight over the city. It's an incredible moment until Sakura finally realizes the sheer scale of the trouble she just agreed to deal with. The next morning comes with Sakura praying that it was all just a hallucination, but the floating plushie demanding cookies in her bedroom makes it very clear it wasn't. Arriving early at school, Sakura is cornered by Tomoyo, who terrifies her friend by showing a video she recorded the night before: Sakura flying across the moon. The sheer panic makes Sakura scream, which startles Kiro. He jumps out of her backpack thinking it's an attack, and his cover is blown. Far from freaking out over the existence of magic, Tomoyo is thrilled, nicknames the ancient guardian Kiro-chan, and fully embraces the madness. Batman has Alfred. Sakura has a millionaire middle schooler armed with a camcorder. The next day, the school turns into a disaster zone, with all the desks and equipment piled up outside. Kiro confirms it's the work of a Clow card and sets the showdown for that night. When it gets dark, Tomoyo doesn't just show up to help. She arrives with bodyguards and a van hiding an entire wardrobe. She decrees that special occasions call for special outfits and stuffs Sakura into her very first battle costume. In the courtyard, things get tense. The school statue comes to life and attacks. Kiro identifies the threat as the shadow card, which controls shadows and throws heavy objects. Sakura tries to use Windy, but the attack phases right through the shadows, which keep regenerating and charge at her. Things look grim until Kiro drops a crucial hint: to reveal a shadow's true form, you need intense light. Tomoyo catches on immediately, runs inside the school, and turns on all the courtyard floodlights at once. The secondary shadows vanish instantly, leaving the card's main body completely vulnerable. Sakura casts the spell, captures Shadow, and calls it a night. The next day, Tomoyo makes her price for helping very clear. She wants exclusive rights to design all the battle costumes and film every capture from now on. Student life goes on, and Sakura's class takes a field trip to the Tomoeda Aquarium. Everything seems normal during the Penguin Show until a bizarre whirlpool whirlpool forms out of nowhere in the tank, almost drowning a penguin and its trainer. The one who dives in to save the day is Toya, who is conveniently working there. It honestly feels like he has a part-time job on every corner of the city. At home, Sakura makes pancakes, while Kiro connects the dots, suspecting the watery card is the culprit. The mission to capture pure water seems impossible. To help with communication, Tomoyo gifts Sakura and Kiro brand new cell phones, the perks of having a mom who owns a toy company. But Sakura's focus quickly shifts when Yukido asks her out as a thank you for the pancakes. In her mind, it's the date of the century. Yukido's chosen spot is, of course, the aquarium. Kiro and Tomoyo naturally follow them in full stealth mode, one to find the card, the other to film the romance. Midway through the tour, the main tank's glass shatters on its own, flooding the entire hallway. Sakura gets trapped underwater by Watery. It's not magic that saves the day, but Yukido, who finds an emergency axe, smashes a door open and drains the water. Toya, who happens to be the waiter at the aquarium cafe today, rescues his sister. Outside, Yukido apologizes for not being able to buy her shaved ice. This sparks a genius idea in Sakura's head. At night, the trio breaks into the venue. Sakura and Kiro lure Watery through the dark halls straight to their main target, the cafe's giant walk-in freezer. Using the fly card, Sakura dodges at the last second and commands Windy to trap the creature inside. Watery freezes solid, literally turning into a block of ice, and Sakura seals the card effortlessly, mentally thanking Yukido for the unintentional tip. Sakura is doing some house cleaning and stumbles upon two dormant Clow cards, wood, and another one covered in ink. She heads out to run an errand for her dad, and guess what? The cards decide to wake up. When Sakura gets back, her house has literally turned into a Jumanji set. Kiro, who was taking a lazy nap on her bed, wakes up to the noise. They rush to the basement and come face to face with a tree growing at an absurd speed. Sakura tries to slam the door shut, severing a few branches in the process, and Kiro gives her a classic parental lecture, reminding her she was supposed to sign her name on the cards right after capturing them. She tries to catch wood right then and there, but the card retreats and the vines end up tying them both up. To make matters worse, the doorbell rings. It's Tomoyo. Kiro has to go into inanimate plushie mode while the vines drag them to the door. Lucky for Sakura, her friend doesn't freak out about the situation and casually unties everyone like it's no big deal. Things completely spiral out of control when the branches reach the balcony. And you know what really sets Kiro off? It's not the destruction of the house, it's seeing the laundry he just hung out to dry go down the drain. Fueled by the fury of wasted chores, he leads the girls back down to the basement. Down there, the strategy is simple. Sakura summons the Watery card to capture the Rain card, which was the ink-stained one. Without the rain to feed the plant, the Wood card simply gives up and surrenders peacefully. The house is in a deplorable state, but Tomoyo saves the day by helping clean everything up. When her dad and Toya get home from work, they find the house sparkling, and Sakura passed out asleep. Toya, in true older brother fashion, threatens to eat her piece of cake if she doesn't put her name on it, and Sakura, sleep-talking, mumbles that she already wrote her name, on the cards of course. On her way to school, Sakura stops to help a woman named Meki, who is opening a gift shop. The place has everything going for it, except for one bizarre little detail. The town's stuffed animals are running away from children's homes in the middle of the night, like a cute version of Toy Story gone terribly wrong. After class, Sakura and the gang head to the shop. They help clean up the mess, and Chiharu ends up buying a panda bear. Meki lets a subtle desperation show, and we soon understand why. When the girls go to Chiharu's house, her room is trashed, and the panda is gone. The next day, Tomoyo mentions a rumor that Meki's shop is cursed. They go back, and the owner confesses she's on the verge of bankruptcy because her merchandise keeps mysteriously vanishing. Knowing that magic is never a coincidence, Sakura brings Kiro along to investigate. While Tomoyo distracts Meki, Kiro and Sakura sweep the plushies. Kiro senses a magical presence, and Sakura manages to grab the culprit, the jump card. The problem is, the card panics, steals all the plushies in the store, and bounces away through the city. Meki, obviously, faints at the sight of her inventory walking out the door on its own. Sakura gives chase. The jump card takes an absurd leap, launching our protagonist into the air and dropping her. That's when Sakura has to activate the fly card to avoid splatting on the ground. The pursuit leads to the park, where she uses the wood card to corner the creature, but the jump card absorbs all the teddy bears and turns into a giant plush monster. It charges at Sakura, but ends up tripping, loses its balance, and knocks itself out. Yep, defeated by its own clumsiness. With the card captured, the shop reopens peacefully. The teddy bears return to their owners, and Kiro drops the theory that the jump card was only stealing the plushies because it was lonely and wanted friends. There's only one topic at school: a ghost spotted in the woods behind the building. Sakura is deathly afraid of anything supernatural, but her friends drag her and Tomoyo along to investigate. Once there, a strange light appears, and everyone scatters in panic. The bizarre detail is that each of them saw a different monster. Tomoyo, proving she operates on a completely different wavelength, swears she saw a giant meat bun floating toward her. Suspecting it's not a ghost, but a cloud card, Sakura returns to the woods at night with Kiro and Tomoyo. The light appears again, but this time it takes the shape of Nadeshiko, Sakura's late mother. Hypnotized and overwhelmed with emotion, Sakura walks toward her, straight off the edge of a cliff. Kiro tries to warn her, but hits an invisible barrier, and Sakura plummets. Mid-fall, a delicate, translucent hand grabs her wrist, softening the impact until she lands safely, right into the arms of Yukido, who happened to be passing by. When she wakes up at his house, Yukido plants a seed of doubt. Was that really her mother's spirit? No mother would put her own daughter in danger like that. Stubborn as ever, Sakura returns to the cliff the next day. The illusion appears again, and she falls once more. But in mid-air, Yukido's words hit home. She screams at the top of her lungs that her mother would never do that, and summons the fly card. The reality check breaks the spell, revealing the true form of the illusion card, which surrenders without a fight. Kiro explains that illusion shows exactly what a person most desires or fears at that moment, which explains Tomoyo's hungry vision of a giant snack. Sakura is relieved to know her mother is resting in peace, but the episode saves its emotional weight for the end. The next morning, Sakura leaves a gift in front of her mother's picture. Toya, reading the newspaper at the table, looks up and sees the real spirit of Nadeshiko, angel wings and all, looking fondly at Sakura. She tells Toya she was worried, but isn't anymore. During a field trip to the art museum, Sakura is intensely focused on her drawing, or at least trying to be, until she lets out a sudden scream that startles Tomoyo and earns her a solid scolding from Mr. Terada. The reason for the outburst? Kiro decided to play artist and completely ruined her sketchbook. The chaos escalates when a boy tries to alter one of the paintings in the courtyard and is forcefully removed by a security guard. Amidst the commotion, one detail stands out. The ambient noise disappears entirely. Kiro figures it out immediately, confirming it's the silent card. It makes perfect sense, as a museum is the ideal hideout for an entity that hates any kind of noise. That night, Sakura sneaks out but bumps into Yukido at the door. She uses the old just stargazing excuse, and almost too innocently, he believes her and just tells her not to stay out too late. Breaking into the museum with Tomoyo and Kiro, they run into the boy from earlier, Yuki, who confesses his mission. He wants to restore the original painting, created by his late father, which was covered up by the Cloud card. The problem is that Silent has a highly annoying defense mechanism. Every time Sakura tries to capture the card, the whole group gets teleported out of the building. The dynamic only changes when the guard returns and catches Yuki. Sakura summons the shadow card, pushes the guard to the floor to free the kid, and, from a safe distance, seals Silent once and for all. The original painting is restored, and we find out Yuki is actually a girl. The guard comes back, sees the suddenly restored canvas, and runs screaming down the hall, thinking the art is haunted. At the end, as the trio leaves, the camera pans to the top of the museum tower. A stranger wearing a long green robe quietly mutters that he senses the presence of a Cloud card. Those weird dreams Sakura has been having about a boy in Chinese clothing holding a sword keep haunting her nights. Kiro and Yukido don't hesitate to give it to her straight. It has all the makings of a prophetic dream. The confirmation arrives the very next morning. A transfer student from Hong Kong named Xiaoran Li walks into her classroom and spends the entire lesson glaring daggers at the back of Sakura's head. At recess, he corners her without a second thought and demands she hand over the Cloud cards. Luckily for Sakura, Toya literally vaults over the fence separating their schools and makes the kid back off.
I knew it! You have the Clow cards, don't you?
Hey, what do you think you're doing?
Toya!
On the way home, a bizarre lightning storm rolls in, but without a single drop of rain. Karo explains that Xiaoran isn't just any exchange student. He belongs to the Li clan, a family of absurdly powerful Chinese sorcerers, direct descendants of Clow Reed's mother. The storm, of course, is the work of the Thunder card. Sakura jumps into action, but Xiaoran steals the show. He proves he doesn't mess around with elemental magic, summoning the Thunder god to force the card back to its original beast form. With the opening created, he barks an order at Sakura Sakura to use the shadow card, caging thunder and allowing for the capture. The job is done, but Xiaoran's ego speaks louder. He spends the whole time throwing disparaging remarks at Sakura's abilities. For the first time since finding the book, she finishes a capture, feeling like an absolute failure. The blow from the night before leaves Sakura visibly down. Tomoyo tries to cheer her friend up, reminding her that at the end of the day, she was the one who captured the card. But the mood only truly improves when Rika notices the protagonist's sadness and gives her a flower in class. Then Xiaoran walks in, and silence takes over. Breaking the tension, Sakura surprises him by thanking him for his help in the battle. He's stunned, even more so when she mentions she recognized his clothes from her dreams. Xiaoran quickly figures out she has enough magic to see the future, but his arrogance returns fast, at least until Yamazaki makes up a lie that the class usually sings and dances at recess, and Xiaoran buys it completely. After school, Rika, Tomoyo, and Sakura go to a shop and buy brooches to clear their heads. But when Rika puts the accessory on at home, she gets possessed by the sword card and relentlessly attacks Sakura. Our protagonist refuses to fight back against her friend. She dodges frantically using the jump card until she is saved at the last second by Xiaoran, who makes a point of calling her weak in the middle of the chaos. Even under pressure, Sakura comes up with a clever idea. Ignoring Xiaoran's scolding, she summons the illusion card, projecting the image of the person Rika has strong feelings for. The possessed girl sees Mr. Terada, mutters professor, and freezes completely. Sakura uses the window of opportunity, disarms her, and seals the card. Xiaoran tries to downplay the victory by saying it was easy, but gets a bite from Kero in response. Before the fight escalates, Yukito shows up to return a CD. Seeing Xiaoran's injured finger, he gently holds the boy's hand with concern. Xiaoran turns bright red and bolts. The next day, the dynamic becomes crystal clear. Sakura gives Yukito chocolates, and Xiaoran, sweating cold, shoves his own sweets into his hands before sprinting off again. Tomoyo, who never misses a detail, has to explain the obvious to Sakura. She's not the only one competing for Yukito's attention. It's sports festival day at school, and Sakura kicks things off by proving she's lightning fast on the track. Toya, naturally, doesn't miss the chance to tease his little sister, but a compliment from Yukito is all it takes to put her on cloud 9 and make her forget the teasing. Between events, Tomoyo calls the girls over for the cheerleading routine. The highlight? The flawless outfits Tomoyo insisted on making for her friend. The friendly atmosphere shifts a bit when Tomoyo's mother, Sonomi, steps onto the scene. She's the president of a giant toy company, but the real shock comes when she bumps into Fujitaka, Sakura's dad. It turns out Sonomi is the cousin of Sakura's late mother, Nadeshiko, and she holds a fierce grudge, blaming Fujitaka for taking her cousin away. The result of this family tension couldn't be more mature. Sonomi challenges Sakura's dad to the parents' foot race, swearing vengeance on the dirt track.
Listen, you've got no chance.
But right in the middle of the adult speed duel, a flurry of flower petals starts falling out of nowhere. Xiaoran immediately realizes this isn't just the wind, and Sakura runs to the school roof to investigate. Up there, with Kiro giving tips over the phone, she finds the flower card. Honestly, the card doesn't even want to fight, it just gets excited by festivities and wants to celebrate. Sakura plays along, does a little dance with the spirit, and seals the card without a hitch. The only real disaster is Tomoyo, who realizes too late she forgot to record the whole thing. In the end, Fujitaka wins the race, leaving Sonomi fuming. To smooth things over, Sakura uses the newly captured flower card to gift them both bouquets, breaking the ice of their argument. A touching detail to wrap up the day, Tomoyo confesses that her mom let her hair grow out just to look like Nadeshiko. Tomoyo's world is vastly different from what Sakura imagined. The bus ride to her friend's house almost goes off the rails when Kero panics because he can't breathe inside the bag, nearly blowing his cover, but they make it in one piece, and when they arrive, Sakura's jaw drops. Tomoyo basically lives in a Wayne Manor-style mansion, complete with a veritable army of maids. The visit takes on a nostalgic tone when Sonomi enthusiastically greets Sakura and sits the girls down for tea. She opens the memory vault and shares stories of Nadeshiko, who was the true queen of clumsiness. She would trip while skiing, fall during jumping routines, and, in her crowning disaster, fell out of a tree while trying to save a baby bird in its nest. Fortunately, Luckily, she landed right on top of her own teacher, Fujitaka. The classic "an angel fell from the sky" trope worked perfectly on him, and that's how the story of Sakura's parents began. As Sonomi steps away to handle company business on the phone, Tomoyo takes the opportunity to show off a very curious item, a highly decorated special box. The problem is, whenever she tries to use the key, an invisible force pushes her hand away. It doesn't take much effort for Kiro to diagnose the work of a Clow card. Sakura summons the sword card, slices through the invisible protective barrier in one strike, and seals the shield card. With the spell broken, Tomoyo is finally able to open the lid. The contents are pure sentimental value, a dried cherry blossom bouquet from Sakura's mother's wedding, kept safe alongside the very first gift Tomoyo ever received from her best friend, a simple bunny-shaped school eraser. The school gets an esteemed visitor. Fujitaka is giving a guest lecture on archaeology. Xiaoran is absolutely mesmerized and becomes his #1 fan in seconds until someone casually mentions that the speaker is Sakura's dad. The kid's look of admiration shatters instantly, and the rivalry comes rushing back. Meanwhile, Sakura's biggest worry is a recorder test. She practices, gets nervous, and hits a wrong note right during the exam. Frustration sets in, but that night, the family celebrates the end of exams with a lively dinner. Kiro proudly saves his video game progress, and everyone goes to sleep peacefully until midnight strikes on the school's clock tower. Magic spreads, and time rewinds. The next morning, Kiro wakes up in despair because his game screen reads "No save data," the universal pain of forgetting the memory card. Sakura goes to school finding everything strangely familiar. She goes through the same recorder test, only this time she nails it, and watches Xiaoran kick the exact same flying ball on the soccer field. They are trapped in a genuine time loop, and Xiaoran, having magic, is the only one besides Sakura who notices it. He points his finger straight at the town's clock tower. That night, the team regroups, complete with a brand new fairy costume provided by Tomoyo. Sakura's plan to fly up there fails frustratingly, because the time card simply rewinds the clock whenever it senses magic approaching. They have to change tactics. They decide to climb up stealthily. Xiaoran uses a grappling hook on the neighboring building and smashes through the tower window in a surprise attack. He yells at Sakura to activate the shield card just in time to block the time card's rewind spell. With the enemy cornered, Xiaoran launches a heavy lightning attack, paralyzing the spirit. Sakura finishes by sealing the card, but magic is fair. Since Xiaoran was the one who immobilized the threat and held his ground, the card flies straight into his hand as a reward. The spell is broken, and the next day finally arrives. The only problem is that Sakura forgot to check the updated calendar and brought her recorder instead of studying for the dreaded kanji test. Sakura's class goes on a field trip to the zoo with a simple mission: observe the elephants. Mid-tour, she bumps into Yukido, who mentions that the giant penguin slide at the park was mysteriously knocked over. The peaceful vibe goes out the window when Sakura hears a strange noise coming from her own backpack. To her despair, Kiro pops out, groggy with sleep, confessing he slipped into the bag just because her dad's lunch smelled too good. A true magical guardian in action. Around noon, chaos erupts. The zoo cages are burst open by an invisible force, spreading panic among the visitors. Kiro quickly identifies the magical signature. It's a Clow card. The power card is having fun at the elephant's expense, and Sakura needs to step in. Her brilliant strategy, challenging an invisible entity of pure brute strength to a tug of war. Even with the elephant's help, Sakura is dragged around like a piece of paper. That's when Xiaoran steps in. Without losing his cool, he activates the time card, freezes the moment, and gives Sakura the advantage she needs to pull the rope and win the challenge. With the power card sealed, Tomoyo doesn't miss the chance to snap a photo of her friend striking a victory pose. The next day, the penguin slide is back in place, and Yukido meets up with the girls. A timely gust of wind snatches the photo from Tomoyo's hand, and Yukido catches it mid-air. Panic sets in as the two think their magical secret is blown, since the picture literally shows Sakura lifting the massive 1-ton penguin slide all by herself. Tomoyo drops the classic forced perspective trick photo excuse, but Yukido just smiles, genuinely impressed by Sakura's ability to lift a playground toy that heavy without using magic. The guy's innocence is practically a superpower of its own. The school festival spirit takes over Seijo High. Sakura and Tomoyo were invited by Toyu and Yukido, and Sakura can barely hide her excitement, spending half the time daydreaming while Tomoyo, true to her role, films everything. Backstage, Toya is sewing costumes, drawing sighs from the girls and sad glances from a class classmate named Yoko. In the classroom transformed into a traditional sweet shop, the mood sours. Xiaoran is there, surrounded by empty soda bottles, glaring daggers at Sakura. When Yukito finishes his shift, he offers to show them around the festival, and both Sakura and Xiaoran instantly accept having to stomach each other's company. During the tour, their childish rivalry continues. At a basketball booth, Xiaoran mocks Sakura for wanting a stuffed bunny. Yukito, without breaking a sweat, dribbles past the school's entire basketball team, dunks the ball NBA style, and wins not only Sakura's bunny, but plushies for Xiaoran and Tomoyo as well. The night's main attraction is the class play, Cinderella, but their version is quite peculiar. The curtains open to reveal Toya in the role of Cinderella, maintaining the expression of someone who would rather be anywhere else on the planet. Sakura is dying of embarrassment, while Xiaoran doesn't miss the chance to take a jab. To make matters worse, the fairy godmother is Yukito, dressed as a magical can of mackerel. The bizarre spectacle is interrupted when a corrosive mist invades the auditorium, melting the stage's support structures. The balcony where Toya and Yoko are acting begins to collapse. Sakura and Xiaoran rush to the control room. Following Kiro's instructions, Sakura summons the shadow card to swallow the mist card, while Xiaoran uses his wind magic to cushion Toya and Yoko's fall. With the crisis averted, the festival ends around a bonfire. On the rooftop, Yoko confesses her feelings to Toya, but he turns her down, explaining that he already likes someone else. They share one last dance before Toya leaves. Down below, Yukito invites Sakura to dance. She accepts, beaming. Xiaoran boils with jealousy in the corner, and Tomoyo makes sure the moment is immortalized on camera. The rivalry over the Clow cards is heating up. Xiaoran has just secured his second victory by capturing the Storm card, and the pressure is starting to get to Sakura's team. The tension escalates into an ugly fight between her and Kiro, who doesn't help matters by deciding to build a room inside her desk drawer, leaving an absolute mess. Sakura finally loses her patience and storms downstairs, foaming with rage. A glare so murderous it makes even Toya swallow his jokes and back off. Sulking and alone, Kiro finds a box of liquor-filled chocolates. He eats them all, gets completely drunk, and flies aimlessly out the window until he passes out on a random balcony sofa.
Chocolate! Hot, buddy!
The next day, a heavy hangover kicks in as he wakes up and realizes he's been adopted by Akane, a little girl living alone with her mother. Trapped in the house and treated like a stuffed animal, Kiro manages to sneak a fax to Sakura asking for help. The problem is that Akane has a dangerous wish. She wants to fly into the sky to see her late father, and unfortunately, a Clow card is nearby to grant that wish. The float card activates, lifting the girl toward the clouds. Kiro tries to intervene, but his short arms and lack of speed are no help. Sakura arrives just in time to seal the card, canceling the magic. However, this sends Akane into a freefall, and a strong gust of wind prevents Sakura from flying up to catch her. Thinking fast, she summons the wood card, creating a net of branches and leaves that perfectly cushions the little girl's fall. Back home, peace seems to reign. To apologize, Sakura actually remodels the desk drawer, turning the space into an official bedroom for Kiro. Everything would have been perfect if the miniature bed she built didn't break the exact second he lied down, restarting the whole fight all over again. Family road trips are always an adventure. Fujitaka is at the wheel, Toya is navigating, and Yukito is in the back seat being his usual picture of perfection. Sakura is thrilled to visit a country house for the first time, even with her brother and Yukito reminding her of the mountain of late homework she has waiting. Oh, and of course, Kiro has been smuggled in a picnic basket because he wouldn't miss a free trip for anything. They arrive at a rustic but very charming cottage. Sakura wastes no time and goes out to explore the surroundings. She ends up stumbling upon a neighboring mansion with a garden straight out of Alice in Wonderland. There, she meets a very kind old gentleman who invites her for tea on the porch. The next day, she returns with homemade cookies baked by her dad. The gentleman invites Sakura inside and shows her the old bedroom of his granddaughter, who passed away some time ago. He gifts Sakura the girl's favorite dress, saying the two share an incredibly similar energy. The conversation gets emotional. Sakura speaks with all the pride in the world about how amazing her father is, and the old man listens to every word with an almost melancholic attention, clearly touched. When it's time to leave, Sakura tries to comfort her older friend. She says his granddaughter must be in a beautiful place in heaven, just like Sakura's own mother, since both were so loved in life. To wrap up the visit in an unforgettable way, Sakura summons the rain card, but not to cause trouble. Instead, she creates a giant rainbow across the sky, since the old man had mentioned he loved looking at them. In the end, the coincidence wasn't just magical fate, but blood. The old man watching her leave from afar was Masaki Amamiya, none other than Sakura's great-grandfather. He kept his identity a secret, but was finally able to have a precious moment with his great-granddaughter. While Kiro suffers alone at home complaining about the heat after being left behind, Sakura and her schoolmates arrive at the beach. It's pure field trip vibes. Beach volleyball, Yamazaki telling absurd lies with a straight face, and Chiharu burying him alive as punishment. The only real tragedy here is Tomoyo realizing she forgot her video camera. At dinner time, a silent culinary talent show takes place. Sakura does a great job chopping potatoes, but Xiaoran slices a cabbage at the speed of light without breaking a sweat, proving he's dangerous with a blade even in the kitchen. But the trip isn't just a relaxing vacation. The school organizes a nighttime test of courage inside a cave. The instructions were simple: go in and leave a candle on an altar. However, the fun is cut short when Sakura's friends begin to disappear one by one, dissolving into thin air like ghosts, including Tomoyo herself. Xiaoran, who had already sensed a strange energy earlier, goes into survival mode. The wooden bridge leading to the altar catches fire, and he orders Sakura to use the float card so they can cross safely. The boy is absurdly focused. Even when he himself starts to disappear and fade from existence, he doesn't panic and continues guiding Sakura through the capture process. She manages to seal the erase card just in time, saving everyone. As a gesture of genuine gratitude, Sakura offers the card to Xiaoran, but he refuses the prize, showing that beneath his arrogant exterior lies a true gentleman. The next morning, all the students who vanished are back at the beach with total amnesia about the previous night. Things return to normal, and Sakura and Xiaoran decide to team up as a flawless volleyball duo for one shared reason: to impress Yukido. Sakura has one of those cryptic prophetic dreams, surrounded by dozens of floating specks of light. Kiro quickly warns her that, given her growing powers, this is an important sign, but it doesn't help much because Sakura was caught off guard and barely remembers the details. In reality, her biggest concern at the moment is dodging her homework responsibilities. To avoid her notebooks, she goes to the market to buy ingredients for dinner. On her way back, she bumps into Yukido on the roof of his house. They walk together, and soon run into Toya. The conversation quickly turns to the summer festival happening that night. Sakura was planning to go just with Tomoyo, but in a matter of seconds, it turns into a group event with Yukido inviting himself and her overprotective brother tagging along to keep an eye on his little sister. At the festival, Sakura wears a yukata made by her dad. The whole gang is together, enjoying the classic vibes, booth prizes, food, and poor Yamazaki being strangled by Chiharu because he just can't stop making up fake historical facts. The main attraction of the night, however, has nothing to do with magic cards and everything to do with pure male ego. Xiaoran shows up at the festival, and soon he and Toya lock into a rivalry worthy of a Wild West duel at the shooting gallery. The prize? A giant stuffed bunny. Toya wants to give it to Sakura, while Xiaoran, of course, wants to impress Yukido. While the two battle it out at the game, Sakura and Yukido step away from the lights to the back of the shrine. There, Sakura sees dozens of glowing lights falling from a tree, the exact same image from her dream. The mystical mood is only broken by Toya and Xiaoran, who emerge from the dark carrying their massive stuffed bunnies, looking exhausted. Taking advantage of the confusion, Sakura makes up a lame excuse, stays behind with Tomoyo, and finally captures the glow card, wrapping up the summer night the right way. Leaving all your homework for the last day of summer vacation is practically a rite of passage, and Sakura is living it the hard way. On August 31st, she has a mountain of overdue assignments. The desperation is so real that she accepts Kiro's help with math, promising him sweets in return, and even sells her soul to her older brother, Toya, agreeing to 5 shifts of chores just so he'll build her school diorama. At the library with Tomoyo, things get worse. Not only did Kiro get all the math problems wrong, losing his right to the candy, but the one book Sakura needs for her book report keeps disappearing on its own. The catch? Xiaoran is also there, and the book keeps vanishing right in front of him. They soon realize it's no coincidence. It's the move card, which has an annoying sense of humor, and keeps teleporting the book all over the library, and then out into the street in an endless game of cat and mouse. Xiaoran tries to catch the book by jumping across shelves and trees, but to no avail. Kiro advises Sakura that she needs to stop tracking the card with her eyes eyes and start using her intuition. Surprisingly, she pulls it off. Sakura predicts where the card will appear, uses her wand, and seals move. The problem is that the exact spot of the capture was right on the edge of a pond. She loses her balance. Xiaoran tries to pull her back, and they both end up diving into the water. At least Tomoyo saved the book. To avoid catching a cold, the group heads to Xiaoran's apartment. Sakura drinks some hot tea and borrows a shirt from his guardian Wei. The vibe is peaceful until the door bursts open. A Chinese girl enters like a hurricane, throws her arms around Xiaoran's neck, and upon seeing Sakura wearing his shirt, completely loses her mind.
Oh, Sharon! I miss you!
Without a shred of hesitation, she demands answers. Kicking off a chaotic scene Xiaoran was definitely not ready to handle. If Sakura thought the drama at the apartment would stay there, she was dead wrong. On the first day of the new term, the screaming girl is introduced as a transfer student from Hong Kong, Mei-Lin Li, Xiaoran's cousin, and, as she makes sure to announce to the entire class, his fiancée. The declaration makes Xiaoran want to disappear, and instantly puts Sakura at the top of Mei-Lin's public enemy list. Throughout the day, the rivalry only grows, at least on the new girl's end. In PE class, Mei-Lin tries to humiliate Sakura by performing complex acrobatics, but Sakura, with her absurd physical aptitude, perfectly copies the moves without even realizing she was being tested. This only makes the Chinese girl angrier, but the real problem arises at night. The local news won't stop reporting about martial arts experts being beaten up in the street by a young girl. Sakura, Tomoyo, and Kiro go investigate at the park and bump into Mei-Lin, who has decided to capture the cards herself to impress Xiaoran. Soon, the real culprit appears, the fight card. As the name suggests, she just wants to throw hands with strong opponents, and she immediately challenges Mei-Lin. Xiaoran's cousin actually holds her own in the first few strikes, proving she really knows how to fight. But the card is relentless and knocks her to the ground. Xiaoran jumps in at the exact right moment to intercept the blow and ends up taking the brunt of it. Seeing Xiaoran hurt makes Mei-Lin lose all sense of reason. She charges back at the card, only to take another beating. Kero warns Sakura that the only way to seal fight is by defeating her in hand-to-hand combat. The minor detail here is that Sakura doesn't know the first thing about fighting. Thanks to some quick thinking from Tomoyo, Sakura summons the power card. With her brute strength multiplied, she simply blocks Fight's attack, lands a precise strike with her wand, and seals the card. Even after being saved, Mei-Lin keeps her pride intact, hugs Xiaoran, and announces that he is the one who will end up with all the cards in the end. Sakura's patience is definitely going to be tested from here on out. Mei-Lin's obsession with outdoing Sakura finds a new stage, the school marathon. While Tomoyo uses a sprained ankle as the perfect excuse to just film from the sidelines, Mei-Lin confidently declares that she and Xiaoran will cross the finish line in first and second place. The only problem is that she thinks a marathon is run at a 100-meter dash pace. During practice, she burns all her energy in the first few minutes and nearly passes out from exhaustion. On the day of the official race, Toyo and Yukido show up to cheer them on, giving Sakura an extra boost. The trio of Sakura, Xiaoran, and Mei-Lin quickly takes the lead. Everything seems normal until they pass Tomoyo and her camera, run for a good while, and suddenly pass Tomoyo again. The scenery is repeating itself. The street never ends, the same checkpoints keep appearing, and Mei-Lin finally collapses on the asphalt, completely drained. Over the communicator, Kiro confirms their suspicion. They are trapped by the loop card, which distorts space and creates an endless circle. To break the spell, they need to find the exact point where reality connects and sever it. Xiaoran draws his magical sword, which gives Sakura the perfect idea. She summons the sword card, transforming her wand into a blade, and slashes through the empty space, instantly shattering the illusion and sealing the card. With the path finally clear, Xiaoran refuses to leave his cousin behind and carries her on his back for the rest of the race. They cross the finish line in dead last, but the sight draws applause from everyone watching. Of course, true to her personality, Mei-Lin ignores the fact that Sakura saved the day and makes a point of glaring at her, making it perfectly clear that the war between them is far from over. The alarm goes off and Fujitaka runs down the stairs, ready to apologize for oversleeping, but breakfast is already on the table. Sakura and Toyu have taken over the household chores, so their dad can focus on an important presentation he's giving at the university, complete with a packed lunch prepared by his daughter.
Here's your lunch.
Huh? Lunch? Did you
The next day, Sakura decides to surprise him. She, Tomoyo, and a smuggled Kero hidden in a basket head to the university to deliver his lunch. With the help of some students, they find the professor's office, as he's quite popular around campus. But Fujitaka's exhaustion is so heavy that he simply passes out mid-sentence. The girls go out to grab some coffee, and when they return, all the teaching assistants in the room are asleep too. Kero quickly connects the dots. It's the sleep card. The problem is that the card doesn't discriminate. Tomoyo falls asleep, and Sakura has to chase the creature through the hallways. The chase ends right back in her dad's office. Kero is knocked out by the magic, and Sakura uses the windy card to capture the target mid-air. But physics takes its toll. She loses her balance on a stack of papers and falls. The result? Coffee spilled right all over her dad's computer. It's the absolute nightmare of any child. Kero warns her that no card can fix the damage, and the despair hits hard. When her dad wakes up and sees his daughter crying uncontrollably, he doesn't yell or freak out. With a calm smile, he reassures her, tells her most of the work was already saved, and promotes her to official cleanup assistant, turning the disaster into a bonding moment before managing to finish the project just in time. Sakura is floating through the school hallways out of sheer happiness. The reason? Yukido is going to sleep over at her house. Xiaoran, obviously, eavesdrops on the conversation, and the jealousy hits hard and fast. But our protagonist's joy is short-lived. Naoko, the queen of unintentional horror, starts a rumor about a ghost voice haunting the music room at night. Sakura immediately starts trembling, but Xiaoran senses the presence of a cloud card and makes the call. They need to investigate. Sakura almost backs out until, back at home, Yukido hears the story and casually mentions he'd love to hear this mysterious voice. That's all the motivation she needs. The nighttime break-in includes the full squad: Sakura, Tomoyo, Kero, Xiaoran, and even Mei-Lin. When they finally hear the voice in the music room, Tomoyo recognizes the melody. Mei-Lin, having zero patience, kicks the door wide open, scaring the entity, which flees instantly. Kero and Xiaoran solve the riddle. It's the song card, which has a habit of mimicking the best singers it finds. In this case, it copied Tomoyo's own competition song. The capture strategy is simple and brilliant. Up on the school roof, Tomoyo starts to sing. The card, wanting to perfect its own voice, is drawn to her and joins in, creating a perfect harmony. Sakura seals the card and, following Xiaoran's advice, uses her newly captured magic to create a beautiful, unforgettable duet between song and Tomoyo. During a fitting session for Tomoyo's new costumes, Sakura senses a magical presence in her dad's room. She walks in with her wand at the ready and comes face to face with a pulsating yellow little ball on the bed. Before she can react, the light dashes forward, strikes her chest, and knocks her to the floor. When Sakura wakes up, the room looks like it turned into a stadium. She quickly realizes she's living a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids reality. She's been shrunk down, and worse, her wand has reverted back into a key. A gust of wind blows her out the window, and suddenly the backyard becomes a deadly jungle, with a cat and a praying mantis taking on the roles of giant monsters. While Toya and Yukido arrive home and Tomoyo tries to hide Kero, Sakura flees to the kitchen and tries to deal with the card. The little yellow creature is fast, agile, and loves to mock her. It dodges, makes Sakura trip, and literally laughs in her face. After the card nearly shrinks Toya and flees to the top of the stairs, Sakura sits on a step, utterly defeated by the scale of the problem. Kero finally finds her and explains that the little card shrank not just her size, but her magic as well. The turning point comes with teamwork. Riding on Kero's back as if he were a warhorse, Sakura runs the card over in the hallway, returns to her normal size, and seals the creature. The ending is pure classic Kero. When it's time to eat the strawberry tart Tomoyo brought, Sakura cuts him a minuscule slice. Wasting no time, the mascot uses the newly captured card on himself, shrinking down to turn the crumb into a giant feast.
What? This is all? I'm sorry.
A fake version of Sakura is wreaking havoc around town, doing things the real one would never do. Her friends catch her in the act, leading to the usual interrogation at school the next day. Sakura swears up and down she was at home, and while the others let it slide, Mei-Lin isn't buying it. Meanwhile, Xiaoran gives her a cryptic warning to be careful. Things get serious when Sakura herself spots her doppelganger running around. Kero realizes the plot thickens and decides to teach the girl how to tell fortunes using the cloud cards. The reading isn't exactly uplifting. The cards now know they're being hunted. Worse, the forecast points out that one of them is after something related to a flower. Sakura puts 2 and 2 together and realizes the target is her brother, Toya, since one of the kanji in his name means peach blossom, and her deduction is spot on. The fake Sakura finds Toya, claims she lost something in the woods, and lures him to a cliff. He ends up falling and gets badly hurt. When Sakura rushes to try and help, she gets lost, but Xiaoran shows up with his magic compass to get the search back on track. Down below, the evil clone expects Toya to be furious at his sister, but he just gives it to her straight. He knew she was an imposter from the start. Toya passes out before the real Sakura arrives. She tries attacking with the watery and the windy cards, but nothing works. Kiro warns her that she needs to guess the entity's name to seal it. Watching the clone mimic her moves, it clicks, it's the mirror card. After the scare, Sakura wonders if the catastrophe predicted in the Cloud Book means the end of the world. Kiro tries to reassure her, saying the world won't explode, but he keeps a dark detail to himself. For some people, what's coming could be much worse than a literal explosion. Meanwhile, a mysterious woman arrives in town. Rushing so she won't be late for dinner, Sakura bumps hard into a woman on the street. That night, while telling Kiro about the run-in, Toya walks into her room bringing dessert. Kiro, who's supposed to be playing stuffed animal, blurts out an excited, "Oh yeah!" out loud. Toya gives him a death glare but ends up letting it slide. The next day, the school gets a surprise. The math teacher took a long leave, and the substitute is none other than the woman Sakura bumped into, Miss Mizuki. Xiaoran, always on high alert, senses a strange energy coming from her and warns Sakura and Tomoyo to keep their distance. The kid might be cocky, but his instincts are usually right. After class, the girls go to a shrine to buy a charm, but the moment they step in, the energy of a cloud card hits Sakura like a truck. Xiaoran and Mei Lin also show up, investigating the same signal. Before they can even regroup, the quartet is swallowed by a giant maze. It's the maze card, and it doesn't play fair. Attempts to fly over it with the fly or cut through the walls with the sword fail miserably. To make matters worse, the walls start shifting around Mei's runner style, isolating Mei Lin from the rest of the group. Panic sets in. But when they finally find Mei Lin, she's accompanied by none other than Miss Mizuki. With unsettling calmness, the teacher guides everyone out of the trap. As soon as they break free, the card reverts to its original form, but instead of going to Sakura, it flies straight into Miss Mizuki's hands. In a move that raises even more red flags, she just smiles and hands the card over to the girl, acting like it's the most normal thing in the world. A disturbing dream about a mysterious figure on top of Tokyo Tower leaves Sakura uneasy first thing in the morning. Trying to clear her head, she goes back to the shrine, bumps into Miss Mizuki, and ends up spending the afternoon sweeping the grounds with Yukito's help. Later, while talking to her dad, a bombshell drops. Toya and Miss Mizuki already know each other. She was his student teacher in middle school, and their history clearly has some baggage. That night, Kiro detects a massive energy signature coming from the shrine. Once there, they run into Xiaoran, who's on the exact same mission. Kiro sneaks off to buy a drink, leaving the two rivals alone. Xiaoran doubles down on his warning that the new teacher is dangerous, but the heavy tension breaks when they both end up admitting the exact same thing. They both have a massive crush on Yukito. Xiaoran gets so flustered by the mutual confession that he runs away in a panic, but the comic relief is short-lived. A dark shadow suddenly swallows Sakura. It's the return card, which has zero regard for space-time and throws the girl straight into the past. Trapped in another era, Sakura ends up witnessing exactly what happened between her brother and the teacher. They were in love, but she had to leave for England. During their farewell, Mizuki tells Toya not to cling to the past, promising that by the time she came back, he'd have a new love in his life, and they would just be great friends. It's a heavy moment, but it finally explains the weird dynamic between them. In the present, Xiaoran notices Sakura's disappearance and uses the time card to rescue her from the temporal anomaly. Back in reality, Sakura manages to seal the return, but since Xiaoran's magic fixed the mess, the card flies right into his hands. The rivalry, which had just called a romantic truce, is back in full force. There's only one rumor going around school: the enchanted cards from the Twin Bells store are working miracles. Even Naoko, who has zero athletic skills, can suddenly vault over the gym horse like a pro, all thanks to her new jump card. But when Sakura and Tomoyo lay eyes on the charm, it clicks instantly. That's a dead ringer for a Cloud card. Sakura swings swings by the store, half hoping to find a card to fix her culinary disasters. Instead, she senses an actual magical presence. The shot card was there, but it just got sold to a classmate, and according to Kiro, this isn't just any card. It's basically a magical sniper rifle that attacks a target the second someone says its name or yells shoot. The hunt for the missing card leads to the school roof. Sakura and Xiaoran find Mei Lin holding the shot, and naturally, the girl flips out in a jealous rage seeing them arrive together. In a dramatic moment, Mei Lin tries to be poetic, claiming she wants to use the card to take a clear shot at Xiaoran's heart. Terrible choice of words. The magic takes the command literally, activates, and starts firing energy blasts straight at him. Sakura tries to use the shield, but realizes you can't play defense and offense at the same time. Showing she's getting the hang of this, she pulls out the mirror card. The spell reflects the blast right back at its source, giving Sakura the perfect opening to seal the card before a romantic and literal disaster strikes. Sakura's culinary bad luck streak continues, but now the stakes are higher. Home economics is focusing on baking cakes. To make the anxiety worse, she runs into Xiaoran and Yukido at a bakery, and Yukido lets slip that he loves cake. This mission just got personal. Class day arrives. Everyone gives it their all, but when it's time to taste test, the result is a collective disaster. The cakes are absurdly, unbearably sweet. The sugar levels are so off the charts that the teacher makes the whole class redo the recipe the following week. On the second try, the mystery solves itself. Sakura and Xiaoran sense magic in the air and come face to face with the sweet card. It's the one sabotaging the recipes, and the kitchen hunt begins. The card is tiny and fast as a rat in the dark. They lock the room to corner the creature, but Xiaoran lunges for it and ends up grabbing a bag of flour, taking a white explosion straight to the face. That's when Sakura applies some basic logic. If the little guy is made of sugar, he must hate the opposite. She grabs a handful of salt and throws it at the card. The flavor shock paralyzes the sweet instantly, and Sakura scores another successful capture. Without magic messing up the kitchen, the cakes finally turn out great. The only exception is Mei Lin's. She overbeat her batter so much the teacher practically wept in disappointment. But for Sakura, the day is an absolute win. She takes her slice to Yukido, who devours it and praises her baking skills. The hunter routine offers no breaks. Dressed in yet another of Tomoyo's absurdly elaborate battle costumes, Sakura tries to capture the dash card using the Windy's magic, but the beast is too skittish. It escapes and hides in a neighbor's backyard. The resident is Rei, a girl from the school's track and field team. She finds the card in its cute animal form, assumes it's an injured pet, names it Pee-wee, and adopts the creature.
Hey, kitty.
You're very cute, though.
Sakura and Tomoyo even try the old "can I get my baseball back" excuse to sneak into the yard, but the plan fails miserably. Sakura soon discovers the real problem. The card's presence is giving Rei a massive magical speed boost. When the girls finally manage to enter the house at the runner's own invitation, Sakura sees just how attached the girl is to the pet. It's a heavy moral dilemma. She knows she can't let the girl cheat in a tournament using magic, but she also doesn't want to break her heart. Xiaoran, on the other hand, has no time for dilemmas. He senses the dash's presence, spooks the critter out of the house, and corners it using his lightning magic. Amid Kiro's yelling, Sakura finally seals the card. But since Xiaoran did the heavy lifting, the card's ownership goes to him. On the day of the competition, Rei is visibly depressed without her lucky charm. But right before the 100-meter dash finals, Xiaoran does something unexpected. He summons the dash for a brief second. Rei spots her pet in the stands, smiles, and sprints with everything she has, winning the gold medal. Sakura goes to confront him, thinking Xiaoran cheated for her, but he swears the magic didn't interfere at all. That victory was 100% sweat and talent. Sakura comes down the stairs beaming, ready for another day, but Toya hits her with the classic big brother combo, calls her a monster and teases her for being short. She boils inside and imagines what it would be like to turn into a giant just to squish the guy. Be careful what you wish for, Sakura. Later, Xiaoran senses the presence of a Clow card. The girls are walking around town and wander into a bookstore. While Sakura senses that familiar magic in the air, Naoko finds a bizarre, titleless book with a quill pen and blank pages. Like any horror movie protagonist, she ignores the red flags and buys it on the spot. At night, the magic squad goes into action. A giant cat attacks Mei Lin, but Sakura handles it by capturing the big card. The relief doesn't last long though. On their way home, ghosts start popping up in the park, followed by a freaking fire-breathing dragon. It's all because Naoko decided to test drive her new book, which is actually the Create card. Whatever she writes comes to life. Xiaoran tries using lightning, but the dragon doesn't even flinch. The only way out? Kiro suggests Sakura use her newly captured card to match the monster's size. She freaks out and refuses, but Tomoyo, with her usual obsession for capturing great footage, talks her into it. Sakura activates the magic and grows until she's towering over buildings, looking like a Megazord in a blue dress. The kaiju battle begins. Sakura grabs the dragon's tail to stop it from destroying the city, but she severely lacks colossal combat experience. The beast turns, blasts her with fire, and the hunt flips. Giant Sakura ends up stumbling through the park until she's knocked down. Just as the dragon rears back for the final blow, it simply vanishes. Naoko had stopped writing and gone to sleep. An exhausted Sakura seals the Create card. The next morning, Toya tries calling her a monster again. This time, Sakura doesn't even care. She knows that, if she wanted to, she could literally stomp on her brother. The classic chaotic body swap episode is here. Sakura and Xiaoran are cornering another card, but Kero and Xiaoran lunge for the creature at the exact same time. Sakura seals the magic, and the damage is done. It was the change card. Now, the loudmouth guardian's mind is stuck in the serious boy's body, and vice versa. To reverse it, they have to wait 24 hours for the magic to wear off. The night becomes a test of patience. Xiaoran, trapped in Kiro's plushy body, freaks out over having to sleep in Sakura's room and tries flying into a tree, forgetting he lacks real wings and dropping like a stone. Across town, Kiro in Xiaoran's body tries to fool Mei Lin by making an inedible soup and laying his thick accent on thick. The next day, Xiaoran decides to sneak into school inside Sakura's backpack to keep an eye on his own body. Terrible idea. Kero doesn't know the meaning of subtle. Tomoyo takes one look and figures out the riddle in 2 seconds. During a soccer game, Kiro decides to run on all fours across the field, forcing Sakura to kick a ball at his head to cover up the sheer absurdity of the scene. When Mei Lin starts getting suspicious again, Kiro drops a super romantic line, only to ruin it by grooming himself like a cat in the middle of the courtyard. Totally normal. Meanwhile, the real Xiaoran's life is going downhill fast. He gets caught by a teacher, ends up in a blue bag, and is handed over to Mr. Terada. The teacher assumes he's a lost stuffed bear and returns him straight to a toy store. After class, the group frantically hunts down the blue bag. They trace Xiaoran's whereabouts and find the boy trapped inside a claw machine. Kiro finally manages to fish Xiaoran out of the plushie tank, and they rush to the park, returning each mind to its rightful place before they lose their sanity entirely. A school field trip to an ice skating rink had everything to be fun, but Sakura wakes up on edge. The night before, that same prophetic dream about Tokyo Tower came back to haunt her, this time clearly showing Miss Mizuki standing at the very top. Once at the rink, the skill gap is crystal clear. Tomoyo glides around like she's training for the Winter Olympics, while Sakura and Xiaoran spend more time on the floor than on their feet. To no one's surprise, Miss Mizuki appears out of nowhere to teach Sakura and Mei Lin how to skate, always carrying that aura of someone who knows the secrets of the universe. By lunchtime, Sakura has gotten the hang of it, but the vibe in the rink takes a sinister turn. The temperature drops violently, and in a matter of seconds, anyone without magic in their body is frozen alive right where they stand. The rink turns into a giant ice sculpture. The only ones left are Sakura, Xiaoran, and Miss Mizuki, who watches everything in silence from the sidelines. Xiaoran quickly figures out what's happening. The freeze card is using the ice on the ground to attack, focusing brutally on Sakura. The card is fast, knocking our protagonist down and starting to encase her body in a thick layer of ice. Xiaoran realizes they can't fight head-on in enemy territory. He shakes Sakura awake, gets the creature's attention, and sprints to bait the beast out of the rink. The decoy plan works perfectly. The moment the card leaves the ice, Sakura doesn't miss her shot and seals the magic, saving everyone and restoring the venue's normal temperature. The environment reverts to normal before their classmates even realize they almost became human popsicles. And since Xiaoran was responsible for creating the perfect opening in combat, the card flies straight into his hands, proving the kid isn't here to play around. Tomoida is hosting a town trivia scavenger hunt, and the rules are clear. You have to compete in pairs. Since Tomoyo prefers staying behind the camera documenting her best friend's every move, Sakura ends up pairing with none other than Yukito. The event turns into a class reunion. Even Mei Lin drags Xiaoran into competing. Speaking of Xiaoran, he's already a nervous wreck looking at Yukito, but interestingly enough, he gets even more flustered when he looks at Sakura. Tournament is basically a mental survival test. The first challenge involves matchsticks and the kanji for star, which Yukito solves in seconds. The second stop isn't even a challenge. He instantly figures out how to turn ice into water by changing one stroke of the kanji. The guy is a machine. They breeze through the circuit until they run into Miss Mizuki at the final stage. The teacher's challenge is getting a marble out of a bottle without turning it upside down or breaking the glass. Sakura finally shines, solving it by filling the bottle with water. Before they leave, Mizuki drops that classic cryptic warning to be careful of the full moon. The last mission is to find a stamp in Penguin Park, but of course, in the middle of the woods, Sakura looks at the moon, has another vision of her prophetic dream, and tumbles off a cliff. Yukito dives to protect her and ends up hurting his leg in the fall, but at least he finds the stamp. Back at the finish line, people are panicking over their disappearance. Just as Toya and Xiaoran are about to form a search party, Yukito limps in with Sakura's help. She feels terrible about his injury, but Toya softens the blow by handing over their consolation prize for coming in last, a pen. Sakura's mind gets no rest, and the recurring dream of Tokyo Tower and a mysterious woman continues to haunt her, but she's got more pressing concerns in the real world. Yukito's birthday falls right on Christmas. After racking her brain for the perfect gift, she decides to invite him to an amusement park. The problem is mustering the courage to call him. Thankfully, Kiro accidentally bumps the redial button on her cell phone, forcing the interaction.
Let me help you. Press the redial.
The day of the outing arrives, and the whole gang gathers at the park. There's Sakura, Yukito, Tomoyo, Kiro, and even Xiaoran and Mei Lin show up to ride the attractions. To complete the coincidence bingo, Toya is working there as a food stand attendant. The pleasant vibe is short-lived. The lights and decorations suddenly catch fire, announcing the arrival of one of the most dangerous cards yet, the Fiery. The beast is so strong that Xiaoran has to use the time card to freeze Toya, who was running over to help, and tells Sakura to use the sleep card to knock out the rest of the park. If anyone saw what was about to go down, the secret would be out. With everyone unconscious, the risk is very real. If they don't stop the blaze, everyone will end up roasted in their sleep. Sakura doesn't hesitate and summons the Windy and the Watery simultaneously to put out the flames and seal the Fiery card. The capture even gives Kiro a power buff, restoring some of his magic, even though Xiaoran still calls him a stuffed animal. At the end of the day, while Tomoyo mourns having slept through the chance to record an epic battle, Sakura finally gives Yukito his present, a doll that looks just like him. With Kiro scattering magical lights across the park and Yukito saying he wants to come back next year, the night is 100% success. The school year begins, but Sakura's dreams aren't taking a break. Tokyo Tower keeps popping into her head. At least Kiro brings good news, showing off the new arsenal. Sakura captured the arrow, the bubbles, the wave, the Libra, and the through cards during the holiday break. On the way to her first day of 5th grade, she's joined by Yukito, who takes the opportunity to gift her a watch for her birthday and the new school year. Upon arriving at school comes the surprise. Miss Mizuki is their new homeroom teacher. Sakura is thrilled, but the mood shifts when the teacher suggests they enjoy the snow starting to fall outside before it piles up too much. How did she know it was going to pile up? Good question. By nightfall, the snow is over 3 feet deep. Sakura, sensing magic at play, goes out to investigate with Tomoyo and Kiro, quickly bumping into Xiaoran and Mei Lin. It's the work of the snow card. The bizarre part is that none of them felt the card's presence before everything froze over, and Sakura immediately connects the dots with Miss Mizuki's prophetic comment. The snow card isn't playing around and attacks with a heavy blizzard. Xiaoran tries fighting back with fire magic, but it's like trying to put out a fire with a glass of water. In the chaos, an attack makes Sakura lose the brand new watch Yukito had just given her. Then the tables turn. If there's one thing you don't do, it's ruin a gift the protagonist got from her crush. Fueled by sheer rage, Sakura summons her newly captured Fiery card and completely obliterates the snow card. There wasn't even a fight left. She just sealed what remained. While Sakura desperately searches the snow for her watch and Xiaoran tries to help, Miss Mizuki appears out of nowhere and hands the perfectly intact watch to the girl. Sakura thanks her, relieved, but Xiaoran glares at the teacher, and his expression says it all. This woman isn't fooling him. Tomoyo's vocal talent is the highlight of the school, but such dedication attracts the wrong kind of attention. As she rehearses for an important competition, a mysterious light starts following her. Sakura, who had just impressed everyone with her cheerleading acrobatics, goes to watch the rehearsal and immediately senses that unmistakable magical energy. But there's no time to react. The voice card invades the room and literally steals Tomoyo's voice. In true Little Mermaid Ursula style, the girl collapses, spooking the music teacher, who immediately calls in her private security. Yes, because Tomoyo lives surrounded by bodyguards like a pop celebrity. Later, Kiro confirms the obvious. The voice card has refined taste and decided Tomoyo's voice was the perfect prize. At her house, the mood is heartbreaking. The girl is in bed, sad, and communicating only through a notebook. Sonomi, her mother, drops everything at work the moment she gets the news, proving that behind the corporate executive persona is a fiercely protective mother who doesn't think twice before canceling her entire schedule for her daughter. When Sakura and Xiaoran visit, the protagonist is consumed by guilt, but Tomoyo, being the best friend in the world, makes a point to cheer her up. That's when Xiaoran shows he isn't just there to look brooding. He comes up with an excellent tactical plan. Use the song card to replicate Tomoyo's voice and lure the thief back. The bait works flawlessly. The voice card appears. Xiaoran blocks its escape route, and Sakura performs the sealing. With her voice restored, Tomoyo finally takes the stage for the competition, while Sakura watches proudly from the audience. A school field trip for strawberry picking had everything to be a peaceful day, especially with the bonus of Yukido and Toya working at the same place. After Yukido helps Sakura pick the best strawberries, the class gets ready for the best part, baking cakes. The only problem is that the cooking room was supposed to be locked. When Sakura, Tomoyo, Xiaoran, and Meilin go to check the door, it simply opens on its own. They walk in, and the door slams and locks behind them, turning the school trip into a childish version of an escape room. Meilin, impulsive as always, tries to solve the problem by throwing a chair out the window. Terrible idea. A green energy blasts her away, making it clear that direct physical or magical attacks won't work against the lock card.
Just leave it to me. Stop it, Mei Ling!
Sakura tries calling Kero for advice, but the Guardian is too busy raiding the fridge to answer the phone, completely missing the emergency. Outside, the situation escalates. The other girls find Toya and Yukido and let them know the group is missing. Xiaoran notices them approaching through the window and warns that time is running out. That's when Miss Mizuki, who had mysteriously vanished from her lunch, appears sitting in a tree outside. Without saying a word, she simply points at Sakura's chest. The message is clear. Sakura takes her sealing wand and inserts it directly into the door's keyhole. The magic works, and the lock card reveals its true form, a flying padlock with wings that panics and starts trashing the entire room before finally being sealed. When Toya and the others manage to break the door down, they find the mess, but Miss Mizuki quickly smooths things over so everyone can clean up and focus on dessert. And Kiro? Well, he finds out the hard way that Sakura gave his entire share of sweets to Yukido. The episode ends with the outraged Guardian chasing the girl around her room. Sakura's fever is through the roof, but she decides to hide it from everyone. She doesn't want to miss her dad's special class or bail on her school group project, but her body takes its toll, and she nearly passes out in the middle of math class. Tomoyo takes her to the nurse's office, while Xiaoran and Meilin take on the responsibility of finishing the poster for her, but Sakura gets no time to rest. Just as she's about to collapse in the hallway, Toya catches her before she hits the floor, tipped off by the ever-present Miss Mizuki, and takes her straight home. Yukido shows up shortly after to drop off Toya's backpack. The mood might have been relaxing if Kero didn't have to freeze and pretend to be a stuffed animal, while Toya glares daggers at him for a few seconds before going to get food for his sister. The Guardian has already realized that Toya knows he's alive, and Sakura lets out a weak giggle at the situation. The rest is short-lived. Sakura senses the presence of the cloud card, which is brewing up a storm outside. Knowing her brother would never let her go out in that condition, she summons the mirror card to take her place in bed and sneaks out. The catch is that Toya Toya walks back into the room, looks at his sister's identical copy, and calmly confesses to the mirror that he already knows all about the girl's magical activities. Out on the street, the capture goes south. Sakura's body finally gives out, but Mei Lin rushes in and holds her up, helping her seal the card. The cloud card goes to Xiaoran, but he, surprisingly gentle, hands the prize over to Sakura. When she gets back, her fever reaches a critical level. Toya rushes to call a doctor, but the moment calls for something beyond medicine. The spirit of Nadeshiko, Sakura's mother, appears in the room. In a beautiful, silent scene, she cures her daughter's fever, leaving Toya in awe as he witnesses the miracle. Their dad comes home right after because he forgot something, finding Sakura fully recovered and sleeping peacefully, proving that some protections go way beyond the magic of the cards. The day off Sakura, Tomoyo, Xiaoran, and Mei Lin take to hang out in the city has everything to be a normal day. They hit the arcade, watch a romance movie at the theater, and decide to wrap up the trip at the iconic Tokyo Tower. The problem is that the exact second Sakura walks through the tower's doors, she steps on a cloud card and completely blacks out, falling into a trance without even realizing it. Suddenly, the scenery changes. The tower is deserted and gives off a bizarre vibe. Toya and Yukido, who were supposed to be at a soccer game, appear out of nowhere working at the concession stand. Worse still, they seem to know Kiro as if it were the most natural thing in the world. The pleasant vibe quickly turns into a nightmare. A thick darkness swallows the tower, and Sakura finds herself completely alone and terrified. Luckily, outside, Xiaoran realizes what's going down and activates the time card to save her. Sakura snaps out of the trance, seals the dream card, and in a gesture of gratitude, hands the capture to Xiaoran. But the calm is short-lived. Kiro ruins the mood and drops a bombshell. The visions created by this card aren't just crazy dreams, they're prophecies. Everything Sakura saw in there is a direct warning of what's to come. The tension from that prophecy still lingers in Sakura's mind, but the school's science week demands her full attention. The class is going to perform Sleeping Beauty, and Miss Mizuki decides to draw roles from a lottery. Fate, of course, has a peculiar sense of humor. Sakura draws the prince, and Xiaoran is stuck with the thankless task of playing the princess. Tomoyo immediately takes charge of the costumes, but the real focus is Sakura and Xiaoran's nervousness over the inevitable kiss scene. Trying to keep it professional, Sakura suggests they rehearse early the next day, before class. On her way to school, she replays the images of her prophetic dream at Tokyo Tower in her mind, still suspicious if the mysterious figure she saw was Miss Mizuki. She's so distracted that she doesn't even notice a sinister gust of sand creeping up behind her. During the rehearsal with Xiaoran, right as their faces draw closer for the tense scene, the wind turns into a lethal sandstorm. It's the sand card. The fight requires strategy, and Xiaoran proves he's not there to play around. He tells Sakura to use the watery card. The sand absorbs everything and turns into mud, creating the perfect opening for Xiaoran to freeze the whole mixture with the freeze card. A flawless combo. The captured card floats confused between the two, not knowing who it belongs to, but Sakura is fair. Since the brilliant tactic was all Xiaoran's doing, she leaves the prize in his hands. The big day of the play finally arrives. The auditorium is packed and Xiaoran, dressed as a princess, suffers in silence. The performance flows perfectly, with Mei Lin killing it in the role of the Wicked Witch. The climax approaches. Prince Sakura leans in to wake Princess Xiaoran with a kiss. In the audience, Toya and Mei Lin are practically blowing steam out of their ears out of sheer jealousy, glaring daggers at the stage. But the kiss never happens. In the blink of an eye, an absolute blackout swallows everything. The entire audience vanishes. Sakura finds herself plunged into pitch-black darkness, unable to summon her magic wand and with Kiro trapped far away, unable to help. It's a situation of pure isolation, a true test of mental survival. Trying to figure out the mechanics of that trap, Sakura realizes something essential. The only thing capable of existing and being noticed in absolute darkness is light itself. And, to her surprise, the light card wasn't hiding in the school or the city. It emerges from deep within Sakura's own heart, where it had been lying dormant since the day the Cloud Book was opened. The light card reveals the identity of the dark card, but there's no epic battle. Instead of attacking, the two entities begin chatting with Sakura, congratulating her on her progress. They explain that they always go together and must be sealed holding hands. The cards surrender peacefully, but leave a grim warning before vanishing. There is someone named Yu, and he will be the one to judge Sakura at the very end. A heavy enough revelation to make anyone forget that the school play was totally ruined. Life happens, and Meilin's mother calls to let her know it's time for the girl to return to Hong Kong. She's devastated about leaving Xiaoran, but he puts on a tough guy mask and acts like he couldn't care less. Seeing the situation, Sakura invites Meilin for a sleepover at her house. They have a classic girls' night. They open up about their feelings. Meilin shares how she met Xiaoran, and even Sakura's crush on Yukido gets brought up. But the pajama gossip session is cut short when Sakura senses the presence of a Clow card. Xiaoran also picks up the signal, and they all go after the threat. The problem this time is the twin card, which has simply decided to clone the entire city. To seal the card, both bodies need to be neutralized at the exact same time. Sakura and Xiaoran try to synchronize their attacks using signals, which works about as well as trying to clap with one hand. The card escapes effortlessly. That's when Sakura has a stroke of genius. She convinces Xiaoran to fight alongside Meilin. After all, the two spent years training martial arts together and share an insane combat connection. The result looks like a scene straight out of a Jackie Chan movie. Their synchronization is absolute. They break through the card's defenses flawlessly, and Sakura finally manages to seal it. After the fight, Xiaoran lets his guard down and admits he believes in Meilin's strength and likes having her around. The following week, Sakura, Tomoyo, and Xiaoran throw an official farewell, and Meilin heads home leaving her mark. While some leave, the remaining mysteries only grow. Sakura's prophetic dream returns even clearer. A giant full moon, Tokyo Tower, Miss Mizuki, and now, a mysterious guy with huge wings. The next day, the scene shifts to an archery tournament at a massive shrine where Yukido is competing. He's excellent, but the finals hold a surprise. His opponent is none other than Miss Mizuki. The match turns into a tense stalemate, looking like neither of them will ever miss the target, until Kiro senses a strange energy in the air and mutters a name, Yu. This distracts the teacher for a lethal second. She misses the shot, and Yukido takes the trophy. The victory calls for a group lunch, but Sakura notices Kiro has vanished from her backpack. The Guardian went straight to confront Miss Mizuki. Kiro lays his cards on the table. He's been sensing moon power coming from her lately, and believes she is Yu, the other Guardian of the Cloud Book, since she has way too much power for a mere human. To his surprise, she denies being the Guardian. When Sakura arrives and catches the two talking, her teacher drops another bombshell. She confesses that she has always known about the existence of Kiro, Sakura herself, and the Clow cards. Before Sakura can even process that her teacher hides more secrets than a CIA agent, the ground begins to shake violently. Kiro gives the warning that changes everything. It's the final Clow card waking up to wreak havoc. The cause of the earthquake finally reveals itself. It's the Earthy card, the last and most dangerous in the deck. Knowing the imminent damage, Sakura uses the sleep card to knock out the entire city. Xiaoran stands guard watching over everyone, while she heads into the hardest showdown of her life. As an elemental card, Earthy doesn't go down without a heavy fight. The battle is brutal, but with a quick tip from Kiro to create a magic combo, Sakura manages to pass the test and seal the final Clow card. With all the cards finally gathered, Kiro's power is fully restored, and he reverts to his true, imposing form. At night, they hold a small celebration at the shrine. Sakura asks who this Yu guy actually is. Xiaoran explains the hierarchy. Kiro is the selector, the guardian of the sun, on the book's front cover, while Yu is the judge, the guardian of the moon, on the back cover. Tomoyo asks the golden question: who will be the definitive master of the cards, since Xiaoran owns some too? Kiro warns that they'll find out as soon as the judge shows his face. Sakura then signs the final card. The very same instant, a mystical energy takes over the place. Yukido, who was still asleep, rises and suddenly transforms into the mysterious second guardian, Yu. Kiro and Mizuki explain to a shell-shocked Sakura that Yukido was merely a false form, created to instinctively stay close to her at all times. But the relief of seeing a familiar face ends there. The real Yu is cold, distant, and treats Sakura with a cutting indifference, proving that he and Yukido are opposite sides of the same coin. It's time for the final judgment. Xiaoran goes first since he also holds cards, but he gets completely crushed by the judge's superior magic. To make matters worse, he makes the amateur mistake of using the time card, which is subordinate to the moon. Yu simply turns the spell against Xiaoran, defeating the boy with his own card. The weight of the world now falls on Sakura's shoulders. It's her turn. The final judgment reaches its peak tension. Sakura refuses to attack Yu. After all, he's the other half of Yukido, the guy she likes. But Yu couldn't care less about sentimentality and goes all out on the offensive. Xiaoran even tries to cast a spell to help, but Kiro steps in and blocks him. It's a boss battle. Any outside interference means an automatic game over for Sakura. Trying the peaceful route, she uses the wood card, which deals no physical damage. Terrible idea. Since wood responds to moon magic, Yu has total jurisdiction over it and simply turns the spell against the girl. Sakura then learns the true stakes of this showdown. If she loses, there's a global Men in Black style memory wipe. Everyone will forget their feelings for the person they love the most. The pressure throws her into an agonizing illusion where she wakes up in an empty world with no photo of her mom in the living room and no one at the shrine. But the song card steps in, showing projections of the people she loves. This gives Sakura the push she needs to snap out of the trance and shatter Yu's prison. Miss Mizuki reveals that her mysterious bell was basically a continue left by Clow Reed himself to give Sakura a second chance. The girl's wand evolves, and using the Windy card, she safely restrains Yu. Instead of celebrating her victory, she shows pure empathy. Sakura says she knows how much he loved Clow, that forgetting that would be too sad, and offers her friendship. Yu drops his cold demeanor and finally accepts her as his master. Clow Reed makes a quick spiritual cameo just to confirm the obvious. Sakura's magic has reached another level and no longer draws from the sun or the moon, but from her own stars. The dust from the final judgment has barely settled and school already brings news. Ariel Hiragizawa, a transfer student from England, arrives to take Meilin's empty seat. He oozes that polished British heartthrob charm and immediately turns his charm on Sakura, leaving Xiaoran boiling with jealousy in the corner of the classroom. Later, at the park, Tomoyo doesn't miss the chance to poke at Xiaoran for checking Sakura out from afar. He pulls that classic defensive denial of someone caught red-handed. The lighthearted vibe continues when Toya appears out of nowhere and steals Sakura's ice cream, fulfilling his sacred duty as the annoying older brother. Yukido tries to restore order, but the damage is done. Toya then mentions that he also has a new student in his class. As if rehearsed, this mysterious new student literally jumps onto Toya's back right then and there, grabbing his neck before introducing herself to Sakura and taking off. Right after, the sky darkens, and a heavy rain begins to pour. At night, things get bizarre. Sakura has a vision of Clow Reed himself warning her that serious trouble is on the way, and he wasn't exaggerating. An artificial storm hits the city hard. Sakura decides to investigate and tries to stop the rain, but when she draws the Clow cards, the system fails. The ancient magic simply doesn't respond anymore, leaving our protagonist completely unarmed in the middle of the storm. The heavy rain continues to batter Tomoeda. The next morning, Sakura is in the kitchen, frustrated that she couldn't activate her wand the night before. Toya throws out his usual bait, calling his sister a monster, but when she doesn't react with her usual shouting, her brother realizes something is seriously wrong. At school, while the gang comes up with absurd theories about the rain being concentrated only on the city, Ariel hands Sakura a flower, telling her she looks better when she smiles. Xiaoran practically blows steam out of his ears with rage, while Tomoyo essentially grabs some mental popcorn, loving watching the teen drama unfold in real time. Outside, Xiaoran theorizes with Sakura that someone with immense magic is manipulating the weather. Meanwhile, the cheeky new student strikes again, jumping onto Toya's back. She tests Yukido to see if he recognizes her from somewhere. When he looks confused, she simply declares that Toya is hers and runs off.
Recognize me? Okay, in that case, he's mine.
At night, Kiro tells Yu to assume his true form. The two agree they need to figure out if all this magic bears Clow Reed's signature. The quartet, Sakura, Tomoyo, Kiro, and Yu, head to the park, where violent spirals of water go on the attack. Kiro and Yu are pinned in midair by an invisible force. Seeing her friends in mortal danger, it finally dawns on Sakura. She gets Clow's message. The borrowed magic is gone. With a new incantation channeling the power of her own star, she transforms her wand and converts the old fiery card into the very first Sakura card. She evaporates the water and saves everyone, but the effort drains so much energy that she passes out on the spot, and from a distance, three mysterious silhouettes watch everything from the front row. Quite impressed by the show the girl put on, Sakura is dealing with a heavy magical hangover. Transforming the fiery card on her own drained so much energy that she crashes and sleeps the whole day, even missing school. When Xiaoran and Tomoyo drop by to see if she's alive, Kiro lays the reality on the table. Now that Sakura is the official master of the Cloud cards, she needs to transfer all of them from Cloud Reed's domain to hers before they lose their power. Basically, she has to manually update the operating system of 52 cards. Tomoyo, always focused on branding, immediately dubs the new collection Sakura cards. The problem is that every update saps the girl's life force. The next day at school, Sakura finds the new student, Ariel, playing the piano. The vibe seems peaceful, but he's secretly injecting magic into the instrument. Later, when Tomoyo is alone in the room practicing her singing, the piano simply floats up and decides it wants to crush her, in true Christine, the killer car fashion. Sakura realizes the instrument is tracking Tomoyo's voice and has a genius idea. She activates the song card, copies her friend's voice, and uses it as bait to lure the homicidal piano straight off the school roof. The strategy works perfectly. The song card is transformed into a Sakura card, and the effort is so great that the protagonist passes out from exhaustion right then and there. Sakura's mind won't stop racing. She wakes up in the morning puzzled by one detail. Why does she sense Cloud Reed's magical presence every time something bizarre happens? At school, the new craze is a romantic urban legend. Rika shows off a handmade teddy bear and explains that if you give the bear with your name on it to the person you like, your feelings will be returned. She gives hers to Mr. Terada, and Sakura immediately decides to make one for Yukito. While hunting for supplies, she bumps into Ariel buying thread. That night, the atmosphere grows heavy. Sakura and Kiro sense Cloud Reed's energy and rush to investigate. Xiaoran and Tomoyo also show up, but things spiral out of control when Xiaoran draws his sword and charges at Sakura with lethal intent. He's fully conscious, but warns her that his body is moving on its own, like a puppet. In a stroke of luck, he manages to cast a water spell around himself, revealing invisible threads controlling his movements. Sakura quickly transforms the sword card and cuts the strings, saving her friend. The revelation that follows changes everything. The one pulling Xiaoran's strings was none other than Ariel, the new student, who is actually Cloud Reed's reincarnation. And he's not playing solo. By his side are Spinal Sun and Ruby Moon, servants that perfectly mirror Sakura's guardians. The teddy bear craze is still going strong. Ariel, playing the perfect friend, helps Sakura sew the bear she's going to give to Yukito, but takes the chance to secretly enchant one of the stuffed animal's ears. Meanwhile, Xiaoran is going through an existential crisis as his feelings are shifting and he realizes he's falling in love with Sakura. It's Yu who finally pulls him out of this confusion. He explains that Xiaoran's crush on Yukito was a false alarm. Since Xiaoran is a descendant of Cloud Reed, he was merely reacting instinctively to the absurd magical power Yu possesses. End of the love triangle. At night, Sakura gives the bear to Yukito, but Ariel's magic is triggered, and the cute gift transforms into a giant, furious monster. Yu tries to protect Sakura but quickly loses his powers. The girl realizes the source of the magic is in the bear's ear and tries to use the sword card along with the jump card to reach it, but the height isn't enough. She needs to fly, but hits a system error. Both the fly card and the sword card require the use of the magic wand. She can't use both at the same time. Desperate and out of options, Sakura breaks the rules. She begs the fly card to work without the wand, and the magic obeys. Wings literally sprout from her back, freeing her hands to wield the sword. She takes off, slices off the giant bear's enchanted ear, and returns it to its normal size. The exhaustion of transforming the Cloud cards is taking its toll, but at least Sakura has Tomoyo. The girl literally shows up with brand new cell phones from her mother's company so Sakura and Xiaoran can stay in touch. And of course, she takes the opportunity to plan a new victory pose for her friend, acting as our protagonist's true PR manager. At home, Sakura is on cloud 9 with Yukito's visit, but the mood quickly shifts. It's actually Yu who has taken over, and he needs to have a serious talk with Kero. His energy is fading. Sakura's current power simply isn't enough to sustain him, and the warning is blunt. If Yu disappears, Yukito goes with him. It's a heavy situation.
You need other people's magic as a source. And when that happens, your other form, Yukito, will disappear too.
Toya, who has already figured out what's going on, tries to tell Yukito the truth, but Nakuru pops out of nowhere to interrupt him, making it pretty obvious that she's just there to get in the way and be a nuisance in his life. Meanwhile, Xiaoran senses a massive energy coming from Penguin Park and alerts Sakura. Upon arriving, the giant Penguin King statue is gone, leaving a bizarre sinkhole in its place. Sakura goes in to investigate, but Ariel's magical barrier blocks Kiro and Xiaoran outside. Deep down inside, the trap is sprung. strong, and out of all the possible deadly threats, Sakura gets attacked by a rain of plush sheep. It sounds cute until you realize she's practically suffocating in a cotton-stuffed nightmare. With no time to lose, Sakura transforms the erase card, deleting the plushies from existence. Even dizzy and exhausted, she pulls strength from nowhere, transforms the power card, and lifts the giant statue right back into place, proving she can handle things on her own. The pressure on Sakura keeps mounting. She discovers that the Clow cards that haven't been converted yet are losing their energy. If she doesn't act, they'll turn into ordinary pieces of cardboard, losing their magic forever. Desperate at the thought of losing her cards, she makes the worst possible decision and tries to convert several of them all at once. The result is an immediate disaster. The dash card panics, escapes, and ends up possessing Toya's bicycle. And there's a catch. The bike had already been discreetly jinxed by Ariel earlier, while he was playing the good boy helping to sweep the yard. What follows is a frantic chase through the park, with Sakura running after a souped-up phantom bike. Amidst the chaos, Kiro gives her a massive scolding, reminding Sakura that acting on impulse only makes things worse. The lecture does the trick. Focused, Sakura combines the magic of the Windy and Loop cards, managing to corner and calm Dash once and for all. Lesson learned. From now on, she'll only convert the cards when the situation truly demands it. The effort drains every last drop of the protagonist's energy, and she passes out on the ground. That's when Tomoyo comes screaming. She was in the bath and missed the action, but she shows up carrying her video camera and a new costume. Without missing a beat, Tomoyo decides that filming her unconscious friend is an excellent idea, while Kiro rants in the background. And, on top of a building, Ariel watches it all with that little smirk of someone who's moving the chess pieces exactly as planned. The mood gets nostalgic when Mr. Fujitaka finds an old calendar that belonged to Nadeshiko. Sakura is fascinated and asks to keep it, turning the little notebook filled with the family's birthdays into her newest treasure. The memory of Nadeshiko takes over the house. Toya even plays a melody on the piano that he learned from their mother. Looking at the notes, Sakura realizes something important. Today is her great-grandfather's birthday. The catch is that he never accepted Nadeshiko's marriage to Fujitaka, having cut ties with the family years ago. Determined to mend this wound from the past, Sakura decides to prepare the perfect gift. But something is still missing. Her great-grandfather loves red carnations, and it's already too late to go to the florist. This is where magic comes into play in the purest way possible. Sakura simply uses the flower card to conjure up a gorgeous bouquet. She records Toya playing the song on the piano, makes a handmade craft, and writes a touching letter, telling him how happy she is living with her dad and brother. The package is delivered to the mansion by Sonomi. The next day, the impact is revealed. The great-grandfather travels to Tomoida and sets up a meeting with Fujitaka at Penguin Park. Sakura's letter broke down all the old man's defenses. In a moment of pure vulnerability, he confesses his deep regret for having distanced himself. He finally understands that Nadeshiko made the right choice, as she found immense happiness by Fujitaka's side, something that overflows into her children's lives. The old man leaves gifts for his great-grandchildren, preferring not to be seen by them just yet. Among the packages, Sakura receives an old dress that belonged to her mother, a quiet and comforting conclusion. Little Sakura is deep into reading Alice in Wonderland for school. The vibe is so peaceful that Ariel even picks a leaf from the garden and gives it to her to use as a bookmark. Naturally, that's enough for Shaoran to practically blow steam out of his ears out of jealousy and rush over to interrupt the moment. The gang decides to head to the library to finish reading in peace, but peace isn't a word that usually exists in this girl's routine. Out of nowhere, Sakura is literally swallowed by the book. She ends up in Wonderland, and in her attempt to find the way out, she winds up starting her own adventure. Inside, she bumps into her friends, except everyone has taken on a bizarre role. Ariel is the Cheshire Cat, Yukito and Yu share the role of the White Rabbit, Toya has turned into the Mad Hatter, and Kiro, well, Kiro is the Queen of Hearts, which oddly suits his temper perfectly. To deal with the craziness of the place, Sakura uses the big and little cards to change her size, true to the style of the original story. While she's tiny, she runs into two Shorans, who are playing the parts of Tweedledum and Tweedledee. They demand that she solve a riddle to earn a clue about the exit, but Sakura can't guess a thing. Next, she plummets straight onto a chessboard where Tomoyo and Queen Kiro are playing. Kiro freaks out and tries to slice Sakura up with his claws.
Look, I told you that I'm the queen! Stop right there! I'm gonna make you pay for this!
Running for her life, she finds Ariel the cat and asks how to get out of this literary nightmare. He hits her with the classic, "You leave the same way you came in." Sakura remembers the leaf she used as a bookmark. She spots a giant leaf floating in the sky, jumps onto it, and pops out right back on top of the book in the library. Shaoran and Tomoyo's jaws drop. and they rush to hide her before the rest of the class notices she just crawled out of a fairy tale. A huge bazaar is taking place at Tomoeda Elementary, and Sakura's class is in charge of handing out sweets and drinks. They spent the entire previous day sewing uniforms for the occasion. And guess who wouldn't miss a sugar-filled event? Kiro. Sakura convinces the creature to stay hidden in a secluded garden, leaving him a basket packed with goodies to buy his silence. Meanwhile, Ariel has brought Nakuru and Spinnell's son to the event, except Spinnell, or Suppi, hates sweets. He goes for a stroll through the gardens and runs straight into who? Kiro. Suppi tries to conceal his magical powers, and he actually pulls it off, but there's no magic in the world that can stop Kiro from shoving food down other people's throats. It turns out Suppi is basically a lightweight when it comes to sugar. One little bite is all it takes for the little guy to get completely drunk on sweets. He goes crazy, flying wildly around the school, hunting for more treats, and wrecking the gardens in the process. Kiro runs to ask Sakura for help, who obviously doubts his story. Even so, she uses the sleep card to put the entire school to sleep so she can investigate the damage. During the mass snooze, Ariel finds Suppi and quickly gets him out of the picture before anyone notices. Trying to explain himself, Kiro draws the face of the real culprit on the ground. The problem is that the drawing looks exactly like a winged cat. Sakura looks at the sketch, looks at Kiro, puts 2 and 2 together, and jumps to the obvious conclusion. She gives him a massive scolding, blaming her partner for devouring all the school's sweets and causing the huge mess. The past few days have been complicated for Xiaoran. The kid has been having an existential crisis trying to figure out his own feelings, until the penny finally drops. He has a crush on Sakura, but saying it out loud is a whole different story. He panics so much at the realization that he runs off aimlessly to clear his head. Along the way, he bumps into Yukido, who gives it to him straight and makes Xiaoran accept what was already obvious to everyone else. Later, Sakura, Tomoyo, Xiaoran, and Ariel go to a teddy bear exhibition together. At a nearby cafe, the conversation flows until they bring up that both Sakura and Xiaoran made teddy bears to give to the person they like. When Xiaoran is asked who will be getting his, the kid short-circuits and runs off again. Sakura goes after him to figure out what the problem is. They both step into an elevator, and to the surprise of absolutely no one, it breaks down. They are trapped in the dark. Xiaoran pulls out one of his magical talismans to conjure a flame and light up the place. They start talking, but the spell that trapped them in there decides to spice things up. The elevator floor opens up into an abyss, and Sakura falls. Xiaoran goes into full-blown panic. He tries to grab the girl but can't reach her, and for the very first time, he yells her first name, Sakura, instead of her last name. With quick reflexes, Sakura pulls out the float card and hovers back up to safety. Xiaoran doesn't even think twice and pulls her into a tight hug. Shortly after, the power comes back, the doors open, and Ariel and Tomoyo are waiting outside as if nothing happened. After this traumatic ordeal, Sakura realizes that they've grown much closer. She asks if from now on she can call him Xiaoran instead of Lee. Still processing the fact that he almost lost the girl down an elevator shaft, he agrees. Ariel decides to test Sakura's patience and casts a spell on Kiro and Yu. The result? They both lose the ability to return to their disguised forms. Imagine the sheer panic of trying to hide a giant winged lion and an armored angel in the middle of your living room. By pure luck, Toya and Fujitaka are out of the house all day. Taking advantage of the coast being clear, Sakura puts the two guardians to work helping her clean the house. While they clean, the mood actually gets nostalgic, with Kiro and Yu reminiscing about the old days with Clow Reed himself, but the peace is short-lived. A delivery guy knocks on the door, and Kiro, with the subtlety of a bulldozer, almost blows their cover when trying to hand a stamp to Sakura. Right after that, he tries to strike up a conversation with Yu, who completely ignores him. Annoyed, Kiro grabs a bag of flour to throw at the angel. Sakura notices just in time, intercepts the attack, and all the flour bounces back right into the lion's face. It's one of those classic slapstick comedy scenes, and Sakura cleans up the mess by using the bubbles card to give the stubborn beast a bath. Tired of dealing with this magical daycare, Sakura has a brilliant idea. She summons the shield card, which nullifies the magic around them. Bingo. Ariel's spell is temporarily blocked, and the guardians are finally able to revert to their compact forms. From afar, Ariel watches everything and is impressed by her quick thinking. Meanwhile, Kiro starts connecting the dots. Who else in the world besides Clow Reed himself would have such an absurd amount of power as to block their transformations? The net is closing in.
I can't believe that you and I couldn't return to our borrowed forms. Cole Reed had to be behind it. What the heck's going on?
With every card transformed, Sakura grows more powerful. The downside is that Yukido's energy, and consequently Yu's, begins to drop drastically, setting off a silent and dangerous countdown. Meanwhile, Xiaoran finally accepts what everyone already knew. He's in love with Sakura. The problem is dealing with it. He seeks out Tomoyo, who steps into the role of therapist and best friend, helping the boy swallow his jealousy toward Ariel. She gives him the motivational nudge he needs to gather his courage and confess his feelings. But the timing doesn't help. Before he can say a word, they both sense Clow-Reed's magic in the air. The magical trail comes from a possessed basketball that leads them straight to the school in the middle of the night, and the school has turned into a literal dimensional maze. The physical space has been warped right out of Inception. Every open door leads to a completely random place, and that's when Tomoyo ends up separated from the group. Sakura panics and starts to lose hope of finding her friend in that chaos. It's Xiaoran who holds it together, giving her the strength she needs to keep going. Regaining her focus, Sakura hears Tomoyo's voice singing in the distance and uses the shadow card, now transformed, to track her through the confusing hallways. After the danger passes and everyone is safe, Sakura thanks Xiaoran for always being there for her. The atmosphere grows heavy. He takes a deep breath and tries for the second time that night to confess his feelings. But the rules of anime are clear. No confession happens without an interruption. Kero pops up out of nowhere, dragging Sakura away to pose for Tomoyo's camera and totally ruining Xiaoran's moment. Xiaoran has a very delicate, unresolved issue to deal with. He had promised his cousin Mei Lin that he would be her fiancé until he found someone he loved more. Since that moment has arrived, he calls her intending to be honest, but is caught off guard when Mei Lin simply shows up in Tomoida to spend the day. The visit starts off peacefully, with her catching up with everyone, until the city park turns into a battlefield. A flock of penguin statues comes to life and starts attacking the group. Don't ask why, just accept the randomness of magic. Amidst the chaos, Mei Lin shows her strategic worth and gives Sakura the perfect cue. Sakura transforms the freeze card, paralyzing the stone penguins, and creating an opening for Xiaoran to destroy the threat, but the real battle happens in silence. Watching Xiaoran and Sakura fight alongside each other, Mei Lin finally understands the reason for the call. She takes the initiative herself and calls off the engagement right then and there, keeping her composure and pretending to accept it all naturally. The tough girl facade drops when she goes over to Tomoyo's house. Away from Xiaoran, Mei Lin breaks down and cries, showing the real emotional weight of letting go of someone she cared for so much. It's a genuinely heartbreaking scene that adds a lot of depth to her character, with no room for jokes. The next morning, with her head held high, Mei Lin does the right thing. She encourages Xiaoran to confess his feelings as soon as possible, since Sakura is completely clueless and would never figure it out on her own. Before leaving, she leaves Sakura a letter advising her to pay closer attention to the feelings of those around her. Kiro is convinced that Toya has already figured out Sakura's magical secret. She doubts it, thinking her brother would just make fun of her if he knew. But the truth is that Toya is dealing with his own problems. He's certain Nakuru is messing with him, purposely interrupting every time he tries to come clean to Yukido about the cause of his constant exhaustion. While Toya tries to sort out buying a Christmas present for their dad, Sakura senses Clow-Reed's presence. Like any hero living a double life, she needs an alibi to slip away and take action. The solution? Invoking the mirror card to create a perfect copy of herself. With her cover secured, Sakura and Xiaoran set off to face the threat of the day, a pair of enchanted fence posts. It's not exactly the most epic battle in the world, but it takes some effort. She uses the mist card, which corrodes and disintegrates the metal, solving the problem in no time. Meanwhile, Sakura's magical copy is hanging out with Toya. He recognizes the mirror card instantly but acts incredibly nonchalant, taking the clone Christmas shopping anyway. In a genuine Big Brother moment, he buys a hair ribbon and gives it to the card in her true form, thanking her for taking care of his little sister. When Sakura gets back home, she plays a recording of a hymn on the piano as a way of thanking the cards for their help. And the surprise comes right after. When the mirror card reverts to her original paper form, she is wearing the ribbon Toya gave her. New Year's has arrived, and the Kinomoto family gets ready for their traditional shrine visit. Sakura wears a traditional kimono, and the mood is festive until the absence of a guest shifts the tone. Yukido doesn't show up. Toya, already sensing that the situation is serious, heads straight to his friend's house. At the shrine, Sakura and Tomoyo decide to draw their New Year's fortunes. The catch is that the one helping out at the booth is Ariel. Sakura draws a slip with a totally cryptic message about finding answers in the first dreams of the year. It becomes pretty obvious that Ariel set this up himself just to build suspense, very much in the style of Batman's Riddler. While Sakura tries to decipher the message, the situation at Yukido's house is critical. Toya finds him passed out on the floor. The issue is severe. Sakura's power isn't enough to keep you, the Guardian, alive, and magical math is cruel. If Yu fades away, Yukido goes with him.
Sorry, I'm just so sleepy.
Yuki.
Unaware of the gravity of her friend's situation, Sakura goes with Tomoyo to wish Xiaoran a happy new year, but she can't get the fortune's message out of her head. At bedtime, the mystery comes knocking. The slip of paper reacts, forcing Sakura to trigger the dream card without realizing it. The result is a tense vision, the sun and the moon being swallowed by darkness, and three bizarre figures standing at the shrine gates. One looks like a panther, another has wings, and the last is a child in robes. Sakura wakes up terrified, but Kira steps into the role of motivational partner and assures her that they'll figure it out. Seriously, this guy must have about 10 different part-time jobs scattered around the city. Yukido and Nakuru are also on the clock. The setting for the day is an indoor water park, and guess who's working there? Toya. Of course, Kira wasn't going to miss out on the trip. The little guy hides in Sakura's swim bag and nearly scares a girl to death in the locker room. Later, he crawls over to the snack bar where Sakura and the gang are relaxing. Using his stealth skills, Kiro drains Sakura's soda cup without her noticing. When she goes to take a sip and slurps empty air, Xiaoran finds it strange to say the least. Shortly after, they spot a familiar tail wagging in a bush. Sakura yells his name in front of everyone, nearly giving away their magical cover on a silver platter. Sakura, Tomoyo, and Xiaoran drag Kiro to an empty corner to give him a severe scolding. But the lecture is cut short when a familiar magical aura takes over the place. With no time to worry about hiding anything, Sakura doesn't hesitate. She invokes the watery card, now transformed by her own power, and saves her friend in front of everyone, risking the exposure of her secret. He's basically setting up death traps just to test her reflexes, leaving it up in the air what his true objective is behind all this effort. Over at the wave pool, Ariel decides to play the disaster movie villain and makes the water level rise absurdly high. Rika, who barely knows how to swim, nearly drowns in the chaos. Ultimately, it becomes clear that Ariel would have undone the magic if Sakura hadn't acted in time. The whole gang ends up in the snowy mountains to learn how to ski. While Tomoyo and Ariel glide through the snow like pros, Xiaoran barrels down the slope completely out of control, heading straight for a tree. Fortunately, Ariel steps in and cushions the impact. At night, the atmosphere is perfect for ghost stories by the fireplace. The local legend is about the ruthless snow woman. Naoko, as always, loves every macabre detail, while Sakura is terrified. Later, there's a rare moment of calm. Xiaoran sits with Sakura and admits that his old crush on Yukido was actually just his magical radar going off at Yu's power. He gets an inch away from finally confessing to Sakura, but she accidentally interrupts him. The boy's timing continues to be his worst enemy. The next day, Sakura heads up to the higher slopes with Ariel. Out of nowhere, the weather turns. A bizarre snowstorm kicks up, mirroring exactly the ghost story from the night before. And of course, Ariel is the culprit, testing the girl once again. But the joke gets out of hand, and an avalanche threatens to swallow the rest of the gang down below. Sakura has to act without revealing anything to her classmate. She draws the time card, freezes everything around her, and tries to use the fiery card to melt the snow. The problem is that stopping time drains an absurd amount of magic, and she passes out from exhaustion before she can pull it off. Ariel realizes the situation has crossed the line, dispels the storm, and rushes to take her back to the teachers. When they arrive safely, Xiaoran's jealousy flares up, and Ariel, for the first time, feels the weight of putting Sakura in danger so often. Back to routine, Sakura is eating some bread on her way home when she witnesses a disturbing scene. Toya holding Yukido by force, looking like he's going to hurt him. She runs to defend her friend, only to discover that it was all a shoot for a school film. Nakuru, the most intense director around, takes advantage of the interruption and forces Sakura to participate as the little sister center of Yukido's character. The problem is that behind the scenes, this movie is far from a comedy. Yu's energy is running out, and Yukido is becoming increasingly drowsy, almost fading away. Taking advantage of the period piece setting excuse, Ariel offers Clow Reed's old house for the shoot, securing the perfect front row seat to watch everything unfold. During filming, the inevitable happens. Yukido passes out from exhaustion and plummets from the balcony. Toya catches him in time with a little secret help from Sakura's windy card. Tired of pretending, Toya kicks everyone out of the room, glares at Yukido, and calls upon Yu. This is where the story gains real weight. Toya reveals that he has known everything all along and offers all of his magic to save Yu's life, and consequently, Yukido's. The only condition? That Yu protects Sakura with his life and also takes care of himself. It's a massive sacrifice. Sakura overhears everything from outside, crying because she feels her own power wasn't enough to save the one she loves. Later, Kiro comforts her, explaining that Toya only hid everything to keep her from worrying. Determined not to waste any more time, Sakura gathers her courage. She needs to confess her feelings for Yukido once and for all. With the movie wrapped up, the school dives into the festival spirit. It's the perfect setting for the conversation Sakura has been dying to have. She manages to get a moment alone with Yukido at one of the attractions, and gathering all the courage in the world, finally confesses her feelings. Yukido doesn't leave her hanging, but he delivers the truth in the gentlest way possible. He explains that the love she feels for him is a fatherly admiration, very similar to the affection she has for her own dad. And then, he confesses that someone already holds the most special place in his heart. Sakura, putting the pieces together, realizes instantly, it's Toya. It's a rejection, but handled with such care that it almost feels like a hug. He assures her that the right person for her is still out there.
I know you'll find someone special. And when you find this guy, you better let me know, because if he does something to make you unhappy, then I'll go after him.
The romantic drama, however, is cut short by an alert. Sakura senses Clow's presence, activates the maze and the illusion cards, and manages to corner the source of the power. And who is it? Ariel. But the confrontation takes too much out of her, and she ends up fainting. Ariel, pulling a move straight out of Men in Black, scrambles the girl's memory so she won't remember unmasking him, even as he acknowledges just how strong she has become. The dust settles, and Sakura sits with Xiaoran, crying over being turned down. Anyone else might have taken advantage of the opening to confess, but Xiaoran swallows his own feelings. He knows the girl he loves just needs a shoulder to cry on right now. He comforts her, promising that she'll find someone who truly loves her, proving just how much he's matured since the days when they constantly bickered. Sakura invites Xiaoran to a shrine festival, and the boy nearly has a heart attack out of sheer joy. She's been falling asleep in class, a clear sign of the massive magical toll she's been taking lately. During the outing, there's that classic teen romance vibe. She gives him a handmade scarf as a gift, and he accepts it, completely flustered. The mood is great. The whole gang is together, including Yukido, Toya, and conveniently, Ariel. But of course, the peace doesn't last long. When Toya and Yukido leave to get drinks, Sakura senses Clow's presence. Suddenly, Ariel summons a bizarre horse-like creature that starts wreaking havoc at the shrine. Sakura tries to use the wood card to tie the beast down, but the magic fails. The horse bolts and severs the shrine's power lines. Xiaoran jumps into the fight, unleashing a lightning strike, but the creature barely feels a tickle. The solution requires a bit more strategy, and the duo works perfectly together. Xiaoran uses his wind magic to push the monster into the lake, and Sakura finishes it off with the thunder card, electrocuting the water and frying the beast for good. A flawless combo. With the power cut, the shrine is left in pitch black. Sakura pulls out the glow card, illuminating the area with tiny floating specks of light. Watching Sakura in the middle of this absurdly romantic scenery, Xiaoran seriously begins to wonder if this isn't the perfect time to finally admit how he feels about her. Winter arrives in Tomita, and the cold brings a nasty little surprise. Thousands of mini snowmen attacking Sakura with merciless ice balls. To get out of this freezing ambush set up by Clow's spell, she uses the snow card and dispels the magic. But the situation has gone too far. Bothered by the fact that she keeps sensing Clow's energy, even though the man passed away years ago, Sakura decides it's time to go straight to the source. She heads to the shrine's giant mystical oak tree to ask for a little magical boost, and uses the return card to travel back in time. She ends up in a gorgeous garden, where she finds Clow Reed, Kiro, and Yu resting peacefully beneath a tree. Sakura tries to get a straight answer out of him about the attacks she's been facing in the present, but Clow plays the Zen master, only replying with philosophical riddles that are impossible to decipher. Observing the deep affection Kiro and Yu have for the ancient sorcerer, Sakura confesses that she wishes wishes she could be like him to deserve that level of love. Clow offers some genuine advice, telling her she doesn't need to imitate anyone. She just needs to be herself and take good care of her guardians and the cards. The trip is worth it for the words of wisdom, but a crucial visual detail doesn't go unnoticed. Clow's house in the past looks exactly like the house where Ariel lives today. When Sakura returns to the present, her friends are waiting for her, but they aren't the only ones. Watching everything from the top of the shrine's gate is Ariel, definitively revealed as the reincarnation of the all-powerful Clow Reed, and he looks more than ready to truly challenge the new master of the cards. Ariel decides to stop playing in the shadows. He casts a colossal spell that blots out the sun and the moon, plunging the city into total darkness and putting everyone into a deep sleep. It's an exact recreation of the scenario Sakura saw in that prophetic dream at the beginning of the year. Thanks to their high magic levels, she and Xiaoran remain awake. Sakura is still reluctant to believe that Ariel is truly the big bad, but he leaves no room for doubt and orders Spinel to attack without mercy. Kiro jumps in front of her and ends up getting hurt. Yu arrives to help in the fight, but Nakuru finally reveals her true form as Ruby Moon and intercepts him. Sakura is left completely alone against Ariel and his flames. She tries to use the fly card to escape, but the fire burns her wings. Desperate, with her guardians locked in a fierce, even battle, she makes a drastic decision: transform her last 8 cards all at once to break Ariel's spell. The problem is that the light and the dark refuse to change. They are the entities most loyal to Clow and demand to be converted together. To provide the absurd amount of power this conversion requires, Kiro and Yu merge with Sakura's staff, taking the terrifying risk of being trapped inside forever if the magic fails. The weight of the responsibility almost makes the girl cave, but Xiaoran holds her hands. He lends her his own power and tells her to trust in herself, promising that everything will be alright. With this final push, Sakura succeeds. She converts the cards, summons the light, and banishes the darkness from the sky. Mission accomplished. All the old Clow cards are now officially Sakura cards. Without saying a single word or delivering a villainous parting monologue, Ariel simply turns his back and walks away. The dust settles, and while Sakura is still processing having saved the city, Xiaoran finally gathers his courage. He looks at her and tells her plain and simple that he really likes her. The girl freezes, completely in shock at the confession. Sakura's mind is racing. After Xiaoran's confession, she finally realizes that what she feels for him is very different from the little crush she had on Yukito. But before focusing on romance, the entire magic squad, Sakura, Xiaoran, Tomoyo, Kiro, and Yu, knocks on Ariel's door to demand explanations. After all, the guy spent months testing Sakura's patience and her life. Ariel comes clean, admits the reason behind all the chaos, and confesses that, amidst his grand plan, 2 things spun completely out of control. Back home, the mood is heavy. Toya and Yukito are calmly cooking when they see Sakura run to her room in tears. Kiro tries to figure out what's going on, but all she can think about are Xiaoran's words. It's classic teenage heartbreak, just with magical powers. And the situation gets worse when Tomoyo drops a bombshell. Xiaoran is moving back to Hong Kong. His mission in Japan is over, and his bags are already packed. The despair hits Sakura so hard that her magic reacts on its own. In the midst of all that sorrow, a brand new card simply materializes. Because of course, when you're Clow's successor, your anguish doesn't just turn into tears. It turns into a magic card. In true Hollywood rom-com fashion, Sakura races against time and sprints to the airport. She manages to catch up to Xiaoran right at the check-in line. Not knowing exactly what to say, she asks for the teddy bear he had made earlier. He hands over the bear right away, without hesitation. With tears in her eyes, Sakura asks the question that hurts in any goodbye: will they see each other again? The answer is left hanging in the air, and the weight of this farewell is perfectly symbolized by the new card she accidentally created. The card has no clear drawing on the front, and Sakura never gave it a title. It is, quite literally, the nameless card. 4 whole months have passed since Xiaoran returned to Hong Kong, and all Sakura has of him is a handmade teddy bear and a confession she never answered. Meanwhile, Ariel's old mansion is being demolished. The rubble falls, the dust rises, and deep down, buried beneath it all, something awakens. A card. A 53rd Clow card that no one knew existed, sealed away down there for who knows how long. And now, without the mansion to contain it, it's free. But Sakura doesn't know any of this yet. Over at Tomoyo's house, the two are watching old videos of Cardcaptor Sakura in action. Tomoyo, true to her role as official videographer and #1 fan, documents every capture, every transformation, every epic moment. Sakura watches, a bit embarrassed, but when the topic shifts to Xiaoran, the tone changes completely. She wants to tell him. She wants to say in person that she loves him too, not via text, not in a letter, looking him right in the eyes. The problem is that he's on the other side of the map. Sakura has been busy with summer classes because her grade is rehearsing a play for the Nade Shiko festival. She's going to play the princess, and Yamazaki is the prince. At night, alone in her room, Sakura reads the princess's lines, the love confession scene, and her mind goes straight to Xiaoran. She looks at the nameless card she created, the one born from the genuine feeling she has for him, and holds it like a promise. While Sakura daydreams, on the site where Ariel's mansion used to stand, a brand new amusement park has been built. A Ferris wheel, a roller coaster, all lit up. But high up on the clock tower, hovering in the dark, a mysterious girl watches everything. She is the card that was just freed. The next day, Sakura and Tomoyo go check out the new park. Sakura enjoys the rides, but in the middle of the fun, she feels something. A presence. Familiar, like a Clow card, but different. Heavier. She sprints through the park trying to locate the source of that energy, and turning a corner, bumps into the last person she expected to see there. Xiaoran, back from Hong Kong, standing right in front of her. And he didn't come alone. Mei Lin is right behind him, wearing a smirk that says she knows exactly what she's doing. The two came to town for the annual festival, or at least that's the official excuse. Sakura freezes. All that courage she'd been building up for the last 4 months simply evaporates. It's easy to rehearse a confession in your bedroom mirror. It's an entirely different thing when the person is right there, a few feet away, looking at you with those eyes. Mei Lin pulls Sakura aside and as casually as possible, tells her that she and Xiaoran have called off their engagement. Why? Because he has someone he truly likes, and she looks at Sakura as if to say, don't make me spell it out. On the other side, Xiaoran talks with Tomoyo. He knows this whole visit was a setup by the two of them. Tomoyo and Mei Lin planned everything to give Sakura the chance to reply to his confession. He admits that he wanted to see Sakura. Of course he did, but he's worried. He doesn't want his presence to pressure her into giving an answer. Tomoyo and Mei Lin, however, aren't concerned with subtlety in the slightest. At the first opportunity, they set up a dinner and leave Sakura and Xiaoran completely alone. Face to face, no way out. Sakura takes a deep breath. This is it. She opens her mouth to speak, and at that exact moment, Kiro shows up. Interruption number 1. She tries again, and Toya appears out of nowhere. Interruption number 2. The universe seems determined not to let this girl confess her feelings.
What do you want for dinner, Sakura? Why are you here?
Pardon me.
Oh, it's you, Yukito.
Hi, Sakura. Good evening.
And as these frustrating attempts pile up, something strange begins to happen without Sakura noticing. Her cards are disappearing, one by one, silently vanishing as if they had never existed. Xiaoran and Mei Lin offer to help with the school play. The 4 of them, Sakura, Xiaoran, Tomoyo, and Mei Lin, start hanging out around town between rehearsals. But during these walks, they begin to notice strange things. Parts of the city are vanishing, not deteriorating, not being destroyed, just disappearing. A piece of the street here, a building there, as if someone were slowly erasing the city with an invisible eraser. Sakura writes a letter to Ariel, telling him about the strange things she's been sensing, and as she writes, more cards disappear from her collection without her noticing. After rehearsals, the group runs into Toya and Yukito. Yukito pulls Sakura aside for a private chat. With that signature calmness of his, he encourages her to be honest with Xiaoran, to confess how she feels. Sakura listens, takes it in, and finally feels what has been happening this whole time. Her cards are disappearing, and nearby, an entire bridge simply no longer exists. Mei Lin suggests they all go to the new amusement park. As soon as they arrive, she and Tomoyo pull off yet another maneuver to leave Sakura and Xiaoran alone. This time, however, the vibe is different. The two notice the cards vanishing and sense a powerful energy in the air, the magical power of Clow Reed. They follow the trail of this energy through the park until they find the mysterious girl. She appears before them, takes more of Sakura's cards, and vanishes just as quickly as she appeared. Sakura is shaken. Who is this girl? What does she want with the cards? The answer comes from Ariel. He calls Sakura, and after hearing everything, explains the situation with a gravity that makes her stomach drop. That girl is the sealed card, the 53rd Clow card. It was sealed beneath the mansion, and when the house was torn down, it was set free. And here comes the part that changes everything. This card holds a power equivalent to the other 52 cards combined. It was created to balance the scales. 52 positive cards on one side, one negative card on the other, and every time the sealed card steals one of Sakura's cards, it also takes away something from the world around her. That's why the city is disappearing. There is a solution. Sakura needs to convert it into a Sakura card to restore the balance, but the price is brutal. To complete the conversion, someone chosen by the card will lose their most important feeling, and since romantic love is considered the strongest and purest feeling, that means Sakura will lose her feelings for Xiaoran. Everything she spent the last 4 months wanting to say, everything she's kept in her heart since their goodbye, will simply evaporate, as if it never existed. The next day, Sakura tells Xiaoran everything, every detail, every consequence. The two stand in silence for a moment that feels like an eternity. Xiaoran swallows the pain and says it can't be avoided, that she has to do what's right. Sakura runs off, crying. Yukito finds her and transforms into Yu, comforting her with the certainty that somehow, everything is going to be okay. The day of the festival arrives. Sakura senses the presence of the sealed card at school. She locates it inside a circle of nothingness, and activates the sleep card to prevent panic among the bystanders. But the spell barely has time to take effect before the sealed card steals the sleep too. In the chaos, Yamazaki falls and hurts himself, meaning he can no longer play the role of the prince. Everyone looks at Xiaoran. He accepts the part, and so on the stage of the Nada Shiko festival, Sakura and Xiaoran dance together as princess and prince. The play's lines blend with what they truly feel. The princess's confession to the prince is Sakura's confession to Xiaoran. Every word carries a double weight, the scripts and the hearts. Then the stage lights explode, the ground shakes, the stage begins to split apart. A sequence of Sakura cards flies out of her bag toward the dark sky, sucked in by the force of the sealed card. And it isn't just the cards that are vanishing. People start to disappear. Sakura's family, her friends, her classmates. Massive chunks of the entire city are swallowed by the void. One by one, everyone is taken, until Tomoyo and Mei Lin, the last two remaining, also vanish. Only Sakura and Xiaoran are left, alone in a city that almost no longer exists. The two run to the amusement park. That's where the card is, and that's where this has to end. Sakura tries to use her magic against the sealed card, but it doesn't work. Nothing works. The card is far too powerful. Xiaoran, whose magic isn't linked to the Clow cards, charges at the creature. He manages to wound it, forcing it to fall back for a moment. But the sealed card recovers, deflects the attack, and hits Xiaoran dead on. Sakura sprints up the tower after the card. On the stairs, spheres of nothingness open massive holes on both sides, trapping her on a narrow piece of step with no way out. It's there, in that tiny space between two abysses, that the sealed card speaks to her, and what it says changes everything. She is lonely. She just wants her friends back. The other cards, she doesn't understand why Sakura is fighting her, why she's trying to stop her from being with the only companions she knows. Sakura looks at the girl, that card taking the form of a lonely child, and instead of attacking, she answers with the truth. Real friends don't trap each other. They don't force things. They don't take away each other's freedom just to fill their own void. And then something nobody expected happens. The Sakura cards, all of them, break free from the sealed card's control on their own. They surround the girl, not as a threat, but as an invitation. The sealed card looks around, sees the cards there by their own free will, and breaks down in tears.
Is it that you hate me? Am I no longer a friend to you all? Please tell me why you're doing this!
Sakura watches the scene and understands. All the cards want to be her friend, so she asks the simplest and most powerful question possible. Does she want to join the other 52, so she never has to be lonely again? The sealed card accepts. Sakura begins the conversion. She commands the card to be reborn and, with a heavy heart, accepts that she didn't get to confess to Xiaoran, that the price will be paid. But when the card moves to complete the transformation, it doesn't head towards Sakura. It chooses Xiaoran. Because Sakura had used too many cards at once, the card chose him as the one who will lose his most important feelings. Xiaoran, wounded, standing out of sheer willpower, looks at Sakura and tells her not to worry. Because even if he loses his love for her, even if everything is erased, he will fall in love with her all over again, from scratch, again. The card rushes at him. The negative energy closes in, and then the nameless card, the one Sakura created from her pure feelings, the one she carried like a promise, reacts. It intercepts the attack, cancels out the negative positive energy and merges with the sealed card. The two become something entirely new, the Hope card, a physical and magical representation of the genuine love between Sakura and Xiaoran. Sakura, with tears in her eyes, believing it's too late and that Xiaoran has already lost everything, looks at the Hope card and finds her courage one last time. She says it, finally says it, that she loves him, that he is the most important person to her. And Xiaoran, in a soft voice, replies that he loves her too. He didn't lose anything. His feelings are all right there, intact. The Hope card protected everything. All around them, the world begins to return. People reappear. The city rebuilds itself. Everything that was taken returns to its place. Sakura, overflowing with joy, activates the jump card and leaps towards Xiaoran before the stairs even finish reconstructing. He yells at her to be careful, but she doesn't care. She's waited 4 months, waited the entire movie. She won't wait a single second longer. We don't actually see the hug itself, but we don't need to. The feeling is already there.